boys should go pee-pee in the boys' room and girls should go pee-pee in the girls' room.
So please excuse my sarcastic tone. I'm a bit underwhelmed by the sample shown. Mr. Bistro fraternity guy, you got my asshole bloodshot eyes. Get drunk and fight every night. Idolize Bradley, belittle women's rights. Homophobic, racist, and don't give a fucking hey. Do you think you can drive a bigger truck? So wear your baseball cap to decide to let everyone know that you're a nice guy. So cool, we're so impressed. Lots of chicks in a barrel chest. Cause you're a real man. Punch for punch, gonna piss in your face while you're passed out drunk. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. He's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. She's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. Oh, I just can't understand it. Conquer divine by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, jerk off. I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, jerk off. Read into the lyrics, cause everybody gets their just desserts. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first. You're next on the list. Such a nice guy who speaks through his fists. Prick with a penchant for messing with heads. A broken nose for dinner and breakfast in bed. Alcoholic, paranoid, and suicidal too. But you'll probably kill her before she gets away from you. She lives in a pool of blood and cry. All your friends say that you're a nice guy. Have a drink, this one's on me. Look, you're doing fine, losing to your disease. Comatose, I'll pack your bags. Bury you like cats, ready to gag. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. We're all nice guys, but all of you are assholes. He's a nice guy, she's a nice guy. Hey, Tom Bone's a nice guy. All of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. The fundamental put a body by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, jerk off. I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, jerk off. Read into the lyrics, so let the party spill quench your thirst. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Plex. We do this show live every Sunday, 7 p.m. Pacific, right here on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/EchoPlex Media. Simulcasting to other places that I don't pay any attention to. Welcome live viewers. Welcome anybody listening live on the IceCast. You can support this project at echoplexmedia.com. Click the support link at the top of the homepage. And from there, you can make your own decisions. People watching on Twitch, you know how the monetization works here. I'm producer Dave. You can find me on Grindr, maybe if you're in my zip code, but also you can find me on Blue Sky at Plex-Dave, and this is what the people want.
I don't hate the cops. There's a person inside when the truncheon stops. Oh, don't hate the cops. Oh, when the raiders come, who will protect the shops? Don't hate the cops. They're a sensitive bunch if you don't stop throwing your rocks. Snap, crackle, pop is the sound of a taser. Your body drops. Don't hate the cops. cops. Don't hate the cops. Like your local police. Cause they don't do nothing wrong like your local police. Got rid of the corruption and the racism is gone. They've been keeping the peace, keeping homeless folks out of the parks and malls. Got a cure for your social disease. Follow the law, don't hate the cops. 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 Put your hands above your head and show you're not afraid. I'm the fairest judge that your skin color's gonna get. And if you die before the sun comes up, the paperwork will take forever. Well, it might have worked out a little bit better if you didn't hate the cops. Cause they don't do nothing wrong, don't hate the cops. You can't blame them for just doing their job, don't hate the cops. Well, you gotta wonder, how much would it cost for you to be shot at and stabbed at by maniacs and drunks? Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops.
All right, so we have a long podcast version of the show this week, as has been the case for, well, I don't know, since maybe since like December, January, something. We're going to start off with something good, though. This is a latest report by Phil Williams out of Tennessee. Phil Williams is a national treasure, and he's been doing great reporting on extremism in the great state of Tennessee.
Podcaster on a mission to convince young Christian men to hate, all in the name of God. And it turns out he calls Tennessee home.
Tonight, you will meet that controversial figure who critics worry is leading a lot of young men across the country down a treacherous path. He sat down for a one-on-one interview with News Channel 5 Chief Investigative Reporter Phil Williams, who has been confronting the hate in our state for almost 2 years now.
Phil is with us now. And Phil, this is a very different character from the neo-Nazi white supremacists you've previously confronted, right?
Definitely different in tone in how he presents himself. Corey Mahler portrays himself as an intellectual and as a theologian. Still, as you're about to see, his hate is not so different from the hate of the KKK.
I moved back to where my family is from. I'm happy to live here.
From here in the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains in historic Blount County, a 39-year-old Tennessee man is waging a battle for the heart and soul of the American Protestant Church, a church that in his view should teach not just about a God of love, but also a God of hate.
Slavery isn't outlawed in Scripture. It can't be. God doesn't change. God says it's permissible in the Old Testament.
His Bible-quoting podcast has sparked intense
Jesus fucking
conservative
Christ.
Christian circles.
Title of the article here is, Corey Mahler believes Hitler went to heaven and wants to take over the Lutheran Church.
About his growing influence.
I don't talk about Stone Choir because I don't talk about Stone Choir. I don't think they're a big problem
among young Christian men.
The reason we're having to address it is because we're seeing it in our churches.
And according to some, his threat to the church.
And he is one of the most dangerous people on the planet and the biggest threat to confessional Lutheranism that I see.
One of the most dangerous people on the planet.
We're somewhere between 50,000 and 100,000 listeners right now.
Per episode.
Mahler's
Stone Choir podcast is, by his own admission.
That's not that many. Sometimes the Intellectual Dollar Tree, RIP the Intellectual Dollar Tree, would get those numbers.
Questionable young men.
And if you want to influence society, you want to influence young men.
And that is your goal, is to push young men further and further to the right.
Our goal is to push young men to become actual Christians.
Part of Mahler's idea of being an actual Christian, the notion expressed in this tweet that Jesus Christ is Lord and Adolf Hitler
What the fuck,
servant.
Yo.
You are an avowed racist.
Yes.
You are an anti-Semite. You hate Jews.
I wouldn't say that I hate Jews.
You think Jews are the enemy.
I think that religious Jews are certainly the enemy.
You think democracy is evil.
Correct.
You are a fascist.
Yes.
And unlike most Americans who honored the sacrifices of the brave men who died on the European battlefields, instead of memorializing the dead, Mahler argues the overwhelming majority of those who died on the Allied side in World War II are in hell. You think?
To be fair, I think a lot of Americans think that because most of them were Soviets.
As a man of God who is in paradise.
That is correct.
And you think
Winston Churchill's probably
killed is in hell.
If he was a practicing Jew.
As for the well-documented historical horror of the Holocaust, Mahler calls it an anti-German blood libel.
Oh my fucking God, he did what?
Hitler did kill millions of Jews. Would you have a problem with that?
I don't believe that he did.
If he did, would you have a problem with it?
I don't have a problem with genocide per se, and I can't as a Christian, because God commanded it in the Old Testament of the Canaanites.
Hitler was right!
It's a message not unlike the neo-Nazis we've confronted on Nashville streets, or even members of the Ku Klux Klan who once operated in the backwoods of the Old South. What's the difference between you and an uneducated guy in a white robe and hood?
Well, I would object to say that those men were necessarily uneducated. There were many members of the KKK who were certainly quite educated.
The fringe guy like Corey Mahler, what he ends up doing is creating space for the
No, this guy's a Nazi too. You see, this guy is also a Nazi.
slightly less radical people to push their radicalism and have it look normal by comparison, thus normalizing their arguments.
James Lindsay is a conservative commentator who
No, James Lindsay is also a Nazi.
Strong criticism for his critique of the so-called woke left, more recently setting his sights on what he dubbed the woke right. He says it would be a mistake to dismiss Mahler as just being a fringe character.
The fringe doesn't always stay the fringe. The fringe can, in fact, very radically and very quickly become a major...
Oh, this is a rare L, I think, from Phil Williams. This is not like a moderate voice compared to the guy you just talked to. This guy just doesn't couch his hatred of people that are different in religiosity, but it's the same message.
Worse in society.
You are a Christian nationalist. Correct. As Mahler imagines it, America needs a Hitler-like figure, a so-called Christian prince, to get elected and then seize power to impose a Christian nationalist government. The leader, he argues, will necessarily be either Lutheran or Presbyterian. Baptists, he admitted, need not apply.
I think that a lot of Baptists do not read the scripture and believe what they've read.
Yeah. I think his problem with Baptists is that a lot of them are black.
And they would have no place in a Christian nationalist government.
In the government, yes.
Mahler would also drive every person of color out of the country, even if they are American citizens, arguing that we should make America white again.
America was never white.
It's a constitutional republic. Where in the Constitution does it say that it's for whites only?
If you go back to the interest of the founding fathers and their intent is for us and for our posterity.
Well,
posterity is blood.
Does it say that in the Constitution?
It doesn't currently say that, but that's a fundamental problem with the Constitution.
Are blacks intellectually and morally inferior? Yes.
Part of Mahler's technique, we discovered, is to condescendingly spout supposed facts that support his views about black crime, for example, while dismissing others that don't. And overwhelmingly, those responsible for sexually assaulting children are white men. Why don't you talk about white male crime?
Those data are actually inaccurate. If you look at the...
So you believe nothing that doesn't confirm your views?
No, if you look at the per capita rate, the difference is that I actually look at the statistics. And I run the statistical analysis myself.
Studies that disagree with your viewpoint.
God has set the rules. God plays by the rules.
Mahler, in fact, never seems to doubt his own intellectual superiority, especially when it comes to his claims about Jews that are built on the flimsiest of foundations.
Jews who are practicing Jews pray multiple times a day to curse Christians.
I have lots of Jewish friends. They do not curse Christians.
Well, they don't tell you they curse Christians.
Come on.
Part of the Jewish religion is also to lie about the Jewish religion.
Which was like his claims that Jews own the pornography.
But don't worry, it's a college kid that doesn't like what the Israeli government's doing that you got to be worried about the anti-Semitism with. This guy, don't worry about it.
Industry and wield it as a weapon against whites, particularly white Christians. You blame Jews for that?
Yes, they admit that.
Hugh Hefner was raised Methodist.
Sure.
Larry Flint, who produced some very vile pornography, was raised Pentecostal.
Sure.
So why are you not willing to look at the role of other groups in pornography?
Look at what the Jews themselves say in their own papers. They proudly say that they are behind pornography and that they push it because they hate God.
That is just not true.
I can get you the article. Obviously, I don't have it on me. I didn't print it, but that is literally a quote from a Jew.
A Jew.
Right. Yeah, like it was, but the thing is, this was probably a Jew working in the adult film industry who was saying that shit to fucking piss off guys like this. Like this guy, I bet this guy doesn't think that anyone posts stuff like that or will say things like that ironically as a joke.
If you're talking about
from a Jew,
well, no.
you're going to
if you're talking about a quote, it's obviously from one man. They don't all speak with the same head. They're not a hydra in that sense.
Not in that
he
sense.
Was making an argument based on a quote that he later attributed to a single Jewish pornographer, Al Goldstein, a self-proclaimed atheist, claiming he was speaking for all Jews, while also
that guy was trolling, almost certainly.
Ignoring, for example, the extraordinary number of Jewish Nobel Prize winners who have been honored for their contributions to humanity. And yet, you say our enemies are ontologically evil. No means are morally impermissible in pursuit of exterminating them.
Sure.
Perhaps most disturbing is Mahler's view that a future American Hitler would be justified in rounding up and exterminating Jews or any other peoples deemed to be the enemy.
My preferable means of exterminating any given enemy is converting him to Christ. Because in doing that, I have destroyed him as an enemy.
And if they don't, you're okay with killing them?
That would be war. And killing in war has always been something that Christians find permissible as long as the war itself is morally justified.
Corey Mahler is an evil man. He should be marked. He has been marked. We shouldn't be praising him for anything.
While conservative churches wrestle with Mahler's influence, the East Tennessee man continues to hearken back to a dark past, trying to convince young men that this should also be America's future. If viewers hear some of your viewpoints, why should they not conclude that your viewpoints are evil?
If men can formulate an argument that is based in God's word, that is sound, and that is against what I have said, then by all means, they should listen to God and not me.
2 years ago, Corey Mahler was excommunicated from his home church of the Lutheran Church in Knoxville and accused of trying to tear apart his entire denomination, although he says he is still welcome to worship in another Lutheran church near his home in East Tennessee.
Having trouble finding words after watching that, but Phil, I wonder, after spending time with him, what is the sense you get about why he is attracting people, especially young men?
Well, first of all, as you saw there, he's very calm and comes across as studious, and he inundates you with so many claims of facts that it's difficult to slow him down long enough to dissect those claims. And that's why some pastors say they're just trying to get young men in their congregations to just take a break from listening to his podcast. Just turn him off.
Mm-hmm.
Phil, eye-opening indeed. Thank you. As we mentioned, this is part of Phil's ongoing investigation confronting hate in our state.
If that guy does not get like some kind of prestigious journalism accolade real soon, I'm going to be like super pissed. That dude does really good work. And as far as dealing with the subject matter of this a report that we saw, everything that I'm thinking about is against the terms of service, probably even of Kick and Rumble, which we're live on right now. So, yeah, not great, but fucking Phil Williams, fucking absolute national treasure. So this happened this week on the news. This is Senator John Kennedy. Have you tried turning Senator John Kennedy off and back on again?
I'm sure Jesus loves them, but everybody else thinks everybody else.
So I guess we had some more technical problems. That was the same mic as we lost with Senator Rand Paul.
Hold on, no. Hold on, no. The mic didn't. No. You could hear the background. And he wasn't trying to talk.
We had some more technical problems. That was the same mic as we lost with Senator Rand Paul. Awful sorry to hear that, because everybody respects what Senator John Kennedy has to say. You know.
No. That's what didn't happen. No. We didn't lose. We didn't lose his mic. He just stopped talking. He didn't want to. I think he was just trying not to say the word asshole, right? He was.
Before we dig into,
he couldn't find a word like that wasn't the word asshole. So here's the next day, I guess, beginning an interview. The same guy interviewing this Larry Kudlow interviewing Senator Kennedy again. He's like, "Don't worry, he didn't just fucking malfunction or whatever. He didn't have a stroke or anything live on air. Don't think anything like that."
Before we dig into the Tulsi Gabbard, so forth, I want to clear the air about yesterday and the interrupted interview. A lot of lefty medias are saying things they shouldn't say. As I understand it, what happened was your IFB, your wire broke down, and you had a lot of noise in your ear, and you had to stop talking because you couldn't get anything through. Now, if there's something...
No, that's not true.
Something different there.
If that was the case, wouldn't you say, "Hey, there's something wrong with my ear"? I mean, I know it's live TV, right? But when you say, "Hey, man, there's something wrong with my earpiece,"
but I think that's all that happened. A lot of
this guy goes on TV all the time.
Are making conclusions about your health that they have no business making, sir.
Well, yesterday I was on your show. I enjoyed it. I was just yapping away, and all of a sudden, my earpiece blew up. This one, it sounded like a 747 was taken off. Man, my ears are still ringing. Anyway.
I mean, when you're live, you're not really supposed to acknowledge the technology that much. But if something like that happens, you take the earpiece, you say, "Hey, there's something wrong with my earpiece," and you pull the earpiece out. If it's that loud that it's like hurting your ears and stuff, come on.
I assumed we were up there. I just stopped talking, and I didn't start talking again until I could hear you. And I don't know, some of the rags up here they've got all kind of stories that I had a brain freeze live on TV or...
Well, that happens though. If he says, "Hey man, I just kind of fucking, I'm not a young man anymore, and I just kind of lost what I was saying." You ever lose, like, we all do that. You ever lose track of what you're trying to say, and just like in the middle of it, you're like, "Fuck, what the hell am I talking about?" Like, just because you're a senator and you're on TV doesn't mean that never happens to you.
Caught an STD live on television or something. I don't know.
Wait, no, I don't think anybody accused you of that.
I know this will come as a shock to you, Larry, but not everybody in Washington likes me. And so when they can see an opportunity to try to start a rumor, they do. And that's what happened. But anyway, I'm okay. I'm back here today. I'm full of piss and vinegar, and I'll be glad to answer your question.
Well, yes, sir.
There's one more drop in this. There's one more drop in this. It's just 17 seconds. 17 seconds, friends. He's not really doing anything to dispel the rumors in this particular 17-second drop. Oops.
People of New York, excuse me, if the people of New York elect him, I hope they don't like eating and living indoors. He's in the foothills of goofy.
Yeah. The foothills of goofy, everybody. I hope they don't mind eating and living indoors. Is that what he said? I mean, I mostly eat inside, although on a nice day, you can't really beat a patio for lunch. Here's an interview on CNN with one of Jeff Epstein's ex-girlfriends. Her name is Stacey Williams, and she describes an encounter she had with the current president of the United States, Donald Trump.
Jeffrey Epstein's ex-girlfriend speaking out tonight. Stacey Williams, a former Sports Illustrated model who dated Epstein in the early 90s, has spent time with both Epstein and Donald Trump together. In one disturbing alleged incident, which Williams went public with last year before the presidential election, Williams says Trump groped her in front of Epstein at Trump Tower in 1993. Here's what she told our Sunland Serfati when she first broke her silence.
The second he was in front of me, he pulled me into him, and his hands were just on me and didn't come off. Then the hands started moving, and they were on the side of my breasts, on my hips, back down to my butt, back up, sort of. Then they were just on me the whole time, and I froze.
Williams also claimed that Epstein and Trump looked at each other and smiled during the alleged incident, which Williams says she now believes was coordinated and, quote, some kind of weird, twisted game. Trump denied Williams's allegations through his campaign at the time, which said in part, quote, it's obvious this fake story was contrived by Kamala Harris's campaign. And Stacey Williams is out front now to speak out for the first time since the uproar over Trump's handling of the Epstein case. Stacey, thank you so much for joining us tonight. As you know, Epstein is dominating the news once again, and his relationship with Trump is under scrutiny. While you were dating Epstein, can you tell us how close these two men were?
They were best friends. I dated Jeffrey for a period of more or less, I think about 4 or 5 months. And the only friend that he would mention every time we saw each other or had a phone conversation was Donald, and he would share a lot of anecdotes. I have plenty of anecdotes. And yeah, they were very close, and they were up to no good.
And how did Epstein talk about Trump? Sort of what was the quality of those anecdotes and how he described him? There was a time when he mentioned that he had to check in on him because he was unwell and very upset about something that had happened. I remember because he was late to pick me up, and he was explaining why he was late. They were just, it was such a long time ago, but it was just that was his bro, that was his wingman. It was clearly, I'd hear about Ghislaine and I'd hear about Jeffrey. And I met Ghislaine in his house. She would come wafting in and out, the home in New York. So he was clearly just someone that he talked about all the time. And again, I met Jeffrey the second time, and we started dating based on the reintroduction that happened at the Plaza Hotel at a Christmas party in 1992 that Donald Trump threw. And they were very, very close. So let's talk about this incident, alleged incident in 1993, where you say that Trump groped you in front of Epstein. I do want to note that CNN has spoken to 3 friends of yours who confirmed that you told them about this alleged incident over past decades. Can you tell me more about what happened that day, and particularly how Trump and Epstein interacted?
Yeah, before I get into the details of what happened, which, obviously I told you guys and I've shared with multiple outlets, the specifics of the assault that happened, I want to point out that I was polygraphed before I did all this by one of the most renowned examiners in the world.
Polygraphs are like pseudoscience. They're not really even that far off from the Scientology e-meter. Not to say she's lying. I'm just saying that's not really a solid evidence that you're telling the truth or being deceptive.
Michael Wolff has hundreds of hours of interviews with Jeffrey Epstein where Jeffrey confirmed to Michael what the two of them did to me long before I came out and told you all of this. So those are 2 critical data points that you need to have. And now I'll walk you through what happened. I was dating Jeffrey. He was always talking about Donald. It was his bestie and everything. And he was joking about how Donald thought I was hot and Donald thinks I'm this or whatever, wants to talk to you. And he was telling me this as we were taking a walk down Fifth Avenue one day. And he said, let's stop in and see him at his offices. So we went up to his office in Trump Tower. And within a couple of minutes, Donald was outside of his door, and his hands were all over me. They were on my breasts, they were on my butt, they were on, my hips, up and down, while the two of them just kept having a normal conversation. I don't remember exactly what was in the conversation. Again, this was, we're talking this is 93 now. It was something about, it was irrelevant. It was like, oh, Stacey's career's on fire. She just did Sports Illustrated again, blah, 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 blah. And they were back and forth, smiling and grinning and carrying on a conversation while Donald ran his hands all over me. And, when that happens in broad daylight in someone's office and an assistant's walking back and forth, you're in shock. If it happens in a dark alleyway, right, you defend yourself. But when it's hidden in its brazenness like that, which is Donald Trump's forte, you go into shock. So I froze, and it was over and very quickly. It was a few minutes, and then we got back in the elevator, and Jeffrey's energy had changed. He was like seething. He was enraged. He wouldn't make eye contact with me. And then we got out on the street on Fifth Avenue. And he looked at me and he just started yelling at me, saying, why did you let him do that? And he was so enraged. And then I remember thinking, like, why did I? I felt like I was coming back into my body at that moment. And I was confused.
Well, if that's your boyfriend too, like it's not his, you should exercise bodily autonomy to the extent that you can. But if your fucking boyfriend's there too, maybe he could have helped you. That's a little bit weird, right?
So that's the story of the assault.
And I do just want to note, Stacey, that Trump has denied these allegations, which you are well aware of. And I know at times you've referenced videos which we have not confirmed the existence of. But I know that you felt that this was coordinated later when you looked back on it. What was it that made you draw that conclusion?
Well, I was sort of known in the industry for being somewhat combative with photographers who would expose themselves or do inappropriate things, or even guys who would touch or harass on the streets. And Jeffrey was aware of that.
Combative? That's weird. That's even that. Like, think about it. Like asserting one's own bodily autonomy and saying that a photographer maybe shouldn't show you their dick. They're like, oh, she's combative.
I think he was excited. I think the gist in my mind, given what he knew and the way it played out, was, hey, I'm going to deliver this person to you who's actually not going to let you get away with what you do. And I did, because I froze. Like I said, when it's hidden in its brazenness like that, you freeze. And, he's a master of that. So, I mean, he talked about it, right? He talked about pussy grabbing on the Access Hollywood tape.
And tonight, if you're aware, President Trump has filed this libel lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal over its reporting that there was this note bearing Trump's name as a signature and an outline of a naked woman that was included in a 50th birthday album for Epstein in 2003, a note that also depicted an imaginary conversation between the two men. And part of it reads, quote, Donald saying, we have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, yes, we do. Come to think of it, Donald, enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? Jeffrey, as a matter of fact, it was clear to me that the last time I saw you. And then finally, Donald, a pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday. And may every day be another wonderful secret. Trump called that letter fake. He said it was out of character for him because he never wrote a picture or drew a picture in his life. Wrote a picture, I think he said. No, it's not his kind of language. Based on your time with both men, does that sound out of character to you?
What, are you kidding me? I know what they were up to together. It happened to me. I was polygraphed. I have the post-assault postcard with a love note. So I have the receipts. Where are Donald Trump's receipts? Where are they? I know what they were up together, and I know what that means. It's very clear. It wasn't baking or fishing.
Well, Stacey Williams, I really appreciate you taking the time
it sucks, but like, you know, you never know. You're like, oh, she should have stood up for herself, but you never know what you're in, like some dude's office, some rich and powerful guy's office, a TV star's office. You're in the entertainment industry. And then, like she was saying that she had a reputation. I guess they probably just they were calling her a bitch or something, right? Because she didn't want to see the photographer's wang. And so, like, poor lady. I mean, she was young too. She wasn't. No indication she was a minor, but she was like young. I don't know how old Donald and Jeffrey were, but they're considerably older than her, considerably more powerful than her. And they're men. There are two men there. And the worst part of it is, after that, Jeff Epstein acted like she had done something wrong and said, why didn't you put a stop to it? But he like watched the whole thing and didn't stick up for her or anything. Fuck everybody involved in that, except for obviously, Stacey. Stacey's cool. So up next we have Bradley Edwards. He's an attorney for some of the Epstein survivors. And apparently they have someone has this birthday book.
I want to go to that book because with your familiarity with evidence against Jeffrey Epstein, which you've collected a lot of through the discovery process, what do you know specifically about that book? Do you know that the estate, the relatives of Jeffrey Epstein, in effect through their lawyers, are in possession of that birthday book?
Yes, I know that the executors of the estate are in possession of that book. And I think that after they turn it over, it should probably be set in the Smithsonian as an artifact at this point in time. It's going to go down in history so that the world can see this book, and they'll know who were Jeffrey Epstein's best friends at the time, what letters did his family write to him, what other pictures are in there, things of that nature. Redact victim names, release the book, and move on. So that's it. Yes, the executors have it.
So you've just identified, not just for the news media, but obviously for House representatives who are now in a mood to subpoena, and also Todd Blanche and the Trump Justice Department, who suddenly are getting curious about investigating this. You've now told them exactly, according to your knowledge, where the birthday book is, who is in possession of that book. And all the House representatives would have to do tomorrow is write up a subpoena for that book, and you believe that it would be the lawyers involved would comply with that subpoena?
I know the executors' lawyers. I've worked with them for years. They're good people. They're good lawyers. They would comply with the subpoena immediately. It's something that we could solve this problem so quickly if people actually want to solve problems.
He's like, I know the lawyers of the people who have the book. That guy looked as much like a lawyer as anybody in the world has ever looked like a lawyer. I know that's not really important, but he definitely looked like he'd be a lawyer on a TV show. This book totally exists. That fucking drawing, like Trump's like, I never drew anything, but he is famous for drawing, like, not great drawings or whatever, but that doesn't really matter. Drawing the what he believed the New York skyline looked like and signing it for people for like charity events. So yeah, he did write pictures. Up next, we have Representative Robert Garcia, Democrat from California, also would like to see these documents released. And when we say the documents, obviously, you know, there's things that everybody, or almost everybody, agrees should be redacted, like the names of victims, maybe the names of victims' friends, the names of witnesses, that kind of stuff. But here is Representative Garcia from the great state of California.
Pam Bondi and the DOJ was saying that there was nothing there. So if they think there's nothing there, nothing to release, now why are they all of a sudden rushing to meet with Ghislaine Maxwell? And so that's what we have to take her testimony and her words and get the full picture. The bottom line is we should not be scared of what's in those files. We don't care who you are, how powerful you are, if you're in politics, what party you are, the amount of money you have. If you've committed these horrific crimes, it should be out and released to the American public. And us on the Oversight Committee, we are committed in this fight. James Comer needs to understand that we're going to be on him and the committee until that subpoena is sent out, which we expect hopefully will happen in the next few days, and that we receive the full files, videos, documents, all that's available to us, we should hopefully get in the next 30 days. That is our ask and request. We think that's a reasonable timeline.
So that's cute and all, but what we're learning is that if they say, let's say they subpoena this stuff, that the House of Representatives or the Senate or somebody subpoenas this stuff, what if the Department of Justice just tells them no? Senate can't have people arrested, can they? What are they going to do? Send out the sergeant of arms from the fucking House floor or the Senate floor to have people arrested? No. They have no power. They have no power. Our republic is weak, and the executive is essentially has the power of a dictatorship if it chooses to take that power. Up next, we have Carlos Jimenez, Republican from Florida, member of the House of Representatives, who has a different view on the documents related to the ongoing trials and convictions and whatnot of Epstein and his associates.
Indeed, House Oversight Subcommittee voted to actually subpoena the Justice Department for these so-called Epstein files. The chairman, James Comer, says an overwhelming majority of Republicans like you in Congress support their release, and that many lawmakers are hearing the same from their constituents. Is that what you're hearing from your constituents in Florida, and do you support this entire effort?
No, I haven't heard from my constituents.
Yeah, that's because you don't listen to them.
Again, this is much more important to a few people than it is to the vast majority of Americans. Americans are I think, are over the Epstein case. They have
what? No. The highest number that I saw of people saying they support the Trump and the Justice Department's handling of all this, highest number I saw in any poll was 16%. You can't get 84% of people to agree on nothing in this country.
Time, it keeps being brought up, and that's why I think this. Hey, man, just release the things, and this thing will go away, and put it in our rearview mirror. We got a lot more important things to do for the American people than what happened, 8, 10, 20 years ago. It's already been resolved in court. The man was found guilty. He did some heinous things. And to young girls, and he paid the ultimate price, I guess, with his own suicide. But we need to move on. And again, the American people are more worried about
the way to move on is to release everything that is appropriate to release. Like I said before, redact the names of victims and witnesses, and like if victims' friends that weren't necessarily witnesses but are appearing in the documents and shit. Like you redact all that, but otherwise, fuck that.
Tabletop issues, kitchen table issues, their economy, how much they're paying for gas, how much money can they keep in their pockets once the effects of the big beautiful bill take effect, with no tax on tips and overtime, Social Security, lowering gas prices through energy dominance. I think the American people are a lot more interested in that than in the Epstein files.
Well, that shit's not going to work either, though, because what little bit of money we might get out of our taxes, and there's not a lot of relief for somebody like me, right? I file as a contractor or whatever, like 1099, and ain't no relief in that shit for me. This is all dumb. Your tomatoes are about to be twice as expensive as they were, but don't worry, there's stuff for you in that big, beautiful bill. Did you know, here's Waters, one of our favorites is Jesse Waters. He's like, don't take the bait on Epstein. I bet we could go through and find Jesse Waters talking about how this Epstein stuff needs to be released, because it is, he probably is going to hurt the Democrats or whatever. And this is what I've been saying to people. I've been trolling the shit out of people. I'm like, hey, Bill Gates is up in there. He fucking put nanobots in you with the vaccine. Why are you trying to protect Bill Gates? People get a little upset with me when I say that. Now, here's Jesse, though. Don't take the bait.
Now that Tulsi's blown the lid off Russiagate, Democrats have identified a new scandal of the century.
Wait a minute. No, you have the timeline wrong. You have the timeline wrong.
Over the last several months, the Justice Department dispatched hundreds, if not thousands, of agents to comb through the Epstein files and flag any mention of Donald Trump. Now we learn in May, Pam Bondi informed Trump that his name is included in those files.
Schiff's making things up again. He's trying to make Epstein the new Russia, running the same kind of innuendo campaign all over again. Don't take the bait. We've been reporting.
Wait, we know that they were associates, though.
knew Epstein for more than a decade. They had a falling out. If the government had Epstein dirt on Trump, they would have released it in 2016, 2020, or 2024. A lawyer for the Justice Department just met with Ghislaine Maxwell today in her prison cell to hear what she has to say about other clients. It was such
about other clients, not about Trump, though.
Meeting, they're going to meet again. Democrats better be careful what they wish for. The truth is, Tulsi struck a nerve because late last night, all the president's men came crawling out of the woodwork to cry on CNN. Clapper says he did nothing wrong, but he's still lawyering up. Now he knows what it's like.
Wait, what? Yeah, you lawyer. Why wouldn't you lawyer if you think the fucking Justice Department is coming after you for any reason? Get a lawyer. Like, what the fuck, dude? It's like, it's like right there in the fucking Constitution. You have a right to one anyway. So, like, yeah, if you think the Justice Department's coming after you on some bullshit, that's the head of the CIA, by the way, dude. I don't know. Listen, I don't know. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to say this, but if you want to end up dead, you start going after the intelligence apparatus of this country or of other countries in the world. This is just how you end up dead. Here is Gutfeld versus Tarlov on the 5, Jeffrey Epstein, and apparently they're going after Obama again.
This is such old news. It's beyond comprehension that we're talking about. And I understand that this Epstein situation is very tricky for the administration. And day by day, it gets worse and worse and worse. But they are pulling out all of the greatest hits to try to inflame the minds of their most, conspiracy theory addled base so that they hear Brennan, Clapper, Obama, Hillary, and they get activated. And suddenly they won't be mad at Trump anymore for not releasing the Epstein files or whatever he had to do with any of it. It's preposterous that we were talking about Hillary Clinton's emails again in year 2025.
We spent years on this story. No, let me, we had to take this story seriously for years, and it was false.
It wasn't false.
No. For people to understand what happened, all right? Because the problem with this story is that nobody knows what you're talking about. When Trump won in 2016, the intel community concluded that Russia didn't have a hand in his victory. Instead of accepting the conclusion, Obama determined and wanted a new conclusion. So he sent Brennan running to come up with a new conclusion that there was some kind of trivial involvement that then they could feed out to the media. And coincidentally, dozens of news organizations said that Trump was in bed with Putin and that somehow Brennan knew. Brennan knew. How did he know?
Why
there was
did
no
John
proof.
Durham
There
do
was no
nothing?
proof. There was no
Why
proof.
did Durham do nothing then?
But no, let me finish. They amplified a false conclusion that Trump colluded with Russia in 2016. We had to spend years dealing with that. And now we're actually getting investigation, and you're saying, no, you know what? You guys should just move on. You guys should just move. You say the same effing thing about Biden's brain. You guys spent 4 years telling us that Joe Biden was fine. You covered up for an invalid. And then when we get the truth, it's like, oh, you know what? It's time. We got to look forward. We got to start talking.
But the problem, his health problem wasn't with his capacity. It was he had some other, like toward the end, it seemed like he had some other illness. I forget what it was, but it wasn't like Jello brain.
We, unlike Democrats, we can handle 2 things, 3 things, 4 things at once.
Doesn't seem like it.
No. Have you been listening to the right lately? The right is more on top of Epstein than the Democrats are. The Democrats never cared about Epstein until they saw a political motivation. The right was into the Epstein story because women were being sex trafficked. We actually cared. But now you're like, ooh, Epstein, a political angle. Ooh, this is fantastic. Save me your selective outrage.
They are so pissed. They are fucking not happy about this at fucking all. The thing is, like, the reporting on Epstein was done by Julie K. Brown of the Miami Herald, which Trump would have probably called that shit like a liberal rag or a leftist publication or whatever. The thing is, like, there was the podcast TrueAnon is about Jeff Epstein. Those are leftists. The thing that's going on here is we, on the left and the shit libs even, didn't like make up some fucking wild fucking deep state conspiracy about it. And not for nothing, the Democrats didn't run on it. It wasn't like a huge part of their campaign. That's the problem here. That's why everybody's so pissed off, is that Trump and his surrogates, including the head of the FBI and the deputy director of the FBI, they were on like every podcast, like fucking several times a week, talking about how when the Epstein stuff comes out, it's going to blow the lid off of the elites and all this shit. And then now they get in there and they're like, what? No, there's nothing there. Nothing. Look over. Obama. Remember Obama? Remember 2016? You remember the 2016 election, everybody? Remember the 2016 election? Like, that's why people are mad. That's why even fucking right-wingers are mad. Don't worry, though. Here's the president. You need to stop talking about Epstein. But if you do talk about Epstein, you better make sure that you don't talk about me, rather, but you talk about the Clintons. So don't talk about this stuff unless you're mentioning Bill Clinton.
Interviewing Ghislaine Maxwell, what are you hoping that they get out of that?
I really have really nothing to say about it. She is being talked to by a very smart man, by a very good man, Todd Blanche. And I don't know anything about the conversation. I haven't really been following it. A lot of people are asking me about pardons. Obviously, this is no time to be talking about pardons. But a lot of people have asked about pardon. This is just not a time to be talking about pardons. Todd will come back with whatever he's got. You're making a very big thing over something that's not a big thing. You should be talking about, if you're going to talk about that, talk about Clinton. Talk about the former president of Harvard. Talk about...
Yes. This is the stuff that we want. Yes. The former president of Harvard, Bill Clinton, Bill Gates. Steven Pinker is the one that I'm looking for. Steven Pinker and Lawrence Krauss are the ones that I'm specifically interested in hearing about. Yeah. Fuck them all. Especially the ones who hung out with Epstein after he was convicted the first time.
His friends, talk about the hedge fund guys that were with him all the time. Don't talk about Trump. What you should be talking about is the fact that we have the greatest 6 months in the history of a presidency, according to a lot of people. And we had an amazing...
So it's so crazy because he almost went back into he almost was like, no, he almost went back into the conspiratorial version of it. But then now the problem that he's got is that he's part of the conspiracy. I'm not even calling this a conspiracy theory. This is now just a fucking conspiracy. This isn't like some bullshit about chemtrails. This is a fucking honest to goodness conspiracy. That's spelled C-O-N-spiracy. And now that that's what's going on, and a bunch of his fans aren't happy about it, he's like, well, I don't know, we shouldn't be talking about this, but also Bill Clinton was involved in there, and so were a bunch of hedge fund guys I don't like. Well, make up your mind. Are we talking about it or are we not talking about it, Donnie? Oh, man. Here we go. Surprise to no one. Jeff Epstein was at Donald and Melania's wedding.
One of the photos that K-File found confirms that Epstein actually attended Donald Trump's wedding to Marla Maples.
Oh, to Marla Maples? Okay, that was a long time ago. I thought it was to Melania.
This is the proof. Again, this has never been published before, so this is a new image. You haven't seen it out there on X or anything like that. This is the proof that Epstein attended Trump's wedding at the Plaza Hotel in New York. And in the photo, what you see is Epstein entering the Plaza Hotel. The wedding date of this is December 20th, 1993, in the center of their friendship, which of course continued. And for comparison, we'll show you on the right a photo of Trump and Marla Maples at the same location under the entryway arch. Andrew Kaczynski of K-File is here with the new images of Trump and Epstein. And Andrew, I shared one of them there, but, so let's start with the one at Trump's wedding. I mean, this is a significant development.
Well, yeah, it is. Trump's wedding to Marla Maples in 1993 was dubbed the wedding of the century by the media at the time. And although we know that Trump and Epstein were friends during this period, this is really the first time that it's actually been reported that Trump invited Epstein to his wedding. This is, we should note, more than a decade before those first allegations of sex trafficking against Epstein. But as you know, Trump's relationship with Epstein has been under the microscope recently. Now, besides that one photo of Epstein entering the reception at the Plaza Hotel, we can also see him in the background of another picture. That's Howard Stern on the far right, along with Robin Leach from Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. And Epstein.
Shout out to Howard Stern, by the way. Howard Stern, at very early on, probably just a few years after this, decided that actually he didn't want anything to do with fucking Donald Trump.
Behind them at the wedding, almost seeming to be photobombing them. We also found this.
Nah, he was just laughing about what he was doing. He was just, I don't know if that was a photo bomb.
With two of his children talking to Jeffrey Epstein. That's at the opening of the Harley-Davidson Cafe in New York in October 1993. You can see Ivana there. She would have been just about to turn 12 years old. And
that's Ivanka, not Ivana.
In that photo.
Yeah, you can see Ivanka right there it looks like between Trump and Epstein. All right, these are never before seen photos, Andrew. I know you also found some video of Trump and Epstein that was from later of them talking that has also never surfaced before. What's that?
Well, that's right. This is from 6 years later in 1999. This video has never been seen before in this context. It shows Trump talking to Jeffrey Epstein just before models hit the runway at the Victoria's Secret fashion show in.
Is that fucking Tom Brokaw or one of those news people with them?
We've seen of the two men was 7 years before this.
Bob Dole back there?
Melania, who is of course now First Lady, seated a few feet away from Epstein. You can see them chatting during the show as well. Allegations that Epstein sexually abused underage girls didn't surface until 2005, years after this video was shot.
Right, but this, of course, establishes them together and obviously very friendly in 1999. So, Andrew, when you get all this, and all of this, as I just want to emphasize, right, has not been seen before. So you actually called President Trump. You called him directly to ask him about this.
Yeah, we were not on the phone very long. I think our call was about 30 seconds or so. But when I asked him about the wedding photo, he said, he sort of paused for a second and then said, "You've got to be kidding me," before calling CNN fake news and then hanging up on me.
So the thing that's going on here is because the story that Trump gives is that he kicked Jeff Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago before the first round of accusations. He was like hitting on one of Trump's friend's daughters or whatever. Now, if that's true, what the fuck does he care? The fuck does he care what's in these documents? If he fucking cut ties with the guy before even the allegations occurred, what the fuck does he care what's in these documents? Seems like there's something else in there. Maybe not even implicating him. Maybe implicating somebody who he cares about or who his political future or his who he's tied to in a way, maybe personally, maybe professionally, where he thinks it would be bad for him. I don't know. Who knows? But here he is talking about the EU trade deal, but that Epstein has nothing to do with a potential EU trade deal.
To get this deal done to knock Jeffrey Epstein story out.
Oh, you got to be kidding with that. No, had nothing to do with it. Only you would think that. That had nothing to do with it.
This is great. He's going to have to answer these fucking questions forever. For fucking ever. And I don't know why he doesn't just come clean and been like, hey, I was a playboy. He was a playboy. We were doing playboy shit. And then he fucking pissed me off and fucking disrespected one of my friend's daughters. And I kicked him out of my club and I fucking didn't hang out with him anymore. Let's release these files. Let's see what's in there. He's like, if there's anything in there that seems to implicate me in anything, I'll do my best to explain it. He's like, he could just be like, I had no idea what was going on here. Let's party. Like, fuck this guy and fuck his associates. But I think that there's going to be a lot of, I don't know what's going on there. Don't know. Here we go. Here's Pass the Buck with Press Secretary Levitt.
The president just ordered the FBI to release the full Epstein files, just get it all out there.
The president has said if the Department of Justice and the FBI want to move forward with releasing any further credible evidence, they should do so. As to why they have or have not or will, you should ask the FBI about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, but that's fucking Dan Bongino and Kash Patel who were saying the whole fucking time that this stuff needs to be released because it's going to be a bombshell and it's going to fucking, the storm's going to come or whatever the shit they were saying, whatever kind of pilled bullshit they were saying about this. So they don't want this stuff. What if all that's going on here, and I'm not kidding, what if all that's going on here is there really isn't anything in there about people you would know, but rather these are rich people you've never heard of, maybe rich and powerful people you've never heard of. And this whole time they were saying that like Bill Clinton and Bill Gates were going down and stuff, but the Clinton Association also seems to have ended prior to the first charges dropping. I'm not sure about Bill Gates. My understanding is that Bill Gates hung out with him after. So did Steven Pinker and fucking Lawrence Krauss, I think, like well after. Don't worry though, we're all the way through the looking glass here. This is Newsmax. They're starting to refer to Ghislaine Maxwell as a victim of Jeff Epstein's.
So, remember this? Last year, President Trump last year in a courtroom, flanked by two great attorneys, Emile Bove on the left and on the right is Todd Blanche. Today, where are these guys? Well, President Trump is in the White House. That's pretty awesome. Emile Bove has just been nominated for a judgeship, federal judgeship. And Todd Blanche is the Deputy Attorney General, the #2 ranking official in the Justice Department.
Funny that he would send his personal lawyer that he hired for the Justice Department to go interview Ghislaine Maxwell. I fucking, come on, man. This is unforced error. Send someone else, anyone else. Even if you're going to try to fucking trump up some bullshit, like send someone else. Like why? Except I think he's doing it because he knows he can. He's doing it to like stick his thumb in people's eyes.
And he's about to meet with Jeffrey Epstein's ex-girlfriend in prison, Ghislaine Maxwell, to find out what she knows. Let's find out, what is this all about? And she's also been subpoenaed by the Oversight Committee. I think.
Wait, wasn't she? Couldn't we just release the court documents related to her, like anything that hasn't been released related to the trial? Like she's been convicted. Couldn't we just release that stuff instead of sending Trump's former personal lawyer to go talk to her? This is all weird.
Great. I do have a feeling that she just might be a victim. She just might be. There was a rush to judgment. There was a lot of chaos there for a while. All right. Granted, she hung out with Jeffrey Epstein. And I know that's apparently not good. But she's in jail.
No. She's stuck with him the whole time. It's not just that, like, I'm fine with the idea of like Howard Stern was at an event that fucking Jeff Epstein was at. We just saw pictures of it. Ain't nobody saying Howard Stern was up in his business doing all this shit, because that's just the way like a social scene works with rich people. You get invited to parties and some of the people at the party are fucking giant pieces of shit. Some of the time you know it, some of the time you don't, but you go to the party because, I don't know, that's fucking rich people shit. You don't see a picture of Howard Stern like this with fucking Jeff Epstein.
For how long now? 20 years. A 20-year sentence. Well, Alan Dershowitz is one of the greatest attorneys who ever lived. And he has this to say about the Ghislaine Maxwell situation, speaking with Newsmax veteran Eric Bolling.
Should Ghislaine Maxwell be behind bars?
She shouldn't be, but she is. She is really serving Jeffrey Epstein's sentence after he committed suicide. There was no one else to prosecute because there was no real information against anybody else. And so they went after her and they sentenced her to a sentence that would have been appropriate for Epstein, but not at all appropriate for her. And so she's appealing.
Epstein was probably going to get life. So somebody in chat said that Dersh is his client. As far as I know, the only thing we have proof of is that Dersh was his lawyer. And I don't like the idea of throwing somebody under the bus for being a lawyer, even for somebody like Jeffrey Epstein. Everybody has a right to a legal defense.
I hope the appeal will be granted. She deserves to be out.
She deserves to be out. And maybe she never deserved to be in there in the first place. Now, how could you say such a thing? I mean, these are perverts. These are child molesters. We've heard that from whom? From the media? From prosecutors? Prosecutors.
I mean, she was convicted, my man. She was convicted.
And Trump over nothing. I don't know, but I'm skeptical of everything and everybody these days, and you should be too.
No, skepticism is show me the money. Skepticism is not, I don't believe you because I don't like you. I think they're going to make her a fucking offer she can't refuse, right? They're going to say, you need to implicate all of our enemies and none of our friends. And it won't maybe be a full pardon, but it'll be like a hacking off, 10 or 15 years of her sentence for cooperation and whatever this fucking thing is. And like, what would you do? Up next, a deputy attorney general interviewed Maxwell. After this, he went to interview her, and that's interesting because he used to be Trump's personal attorney.
Let me mention first just how very bizarre it is that the Deputy Attorney General of the United States is going out to do a witness interview. It really raises the question whether he's doing that in the role as Deputy Attorney General of the United States, or if he's stepping back into his role as Trump criminal defendant and having kind of a Tom Hagen moment with this particular witness. One really obvious question for Ghislaine Maxwell: the Wall Street Journal reporting about the birthday book for Jeffrey Epstein, to which Trump contributed a letter.
I want to see who else did.
The Wall Street Journal report on that is that Ghislaine Maxwell put that book together. If she put that book together, she knows about that Trump letter. She may have stories about how she obtained the Trump letter. Perhaps she went over to meet with him to get the Trump letter. Perhaps they joked about stuff as he filled in his name where the pubic hair of the drawn woman would be. All of that is a very immediate question for her, given the Wall Street Journal reporting. There's obviously tons more that she knows, but that's something that's very, very immediate. And if they're not asking about that while the president is denying that this letter even exists, then it clearly is more of a cover-up effort than an investigation effort.
Send anybody else, but I think Trump did it on purpose. I think he's doing all this on purpose, kind of to be like, well, I can just send whoever I want, right? I don't think there's any effort here to get to the bottom of anything. And honestly, like, she's not a young woman, right? She's 60, something like that. When you're 60, 20 years, even in like a club fed, that might be a life sentence. So she's going to do what they tell her to do. Because of course she is. What else would she do? First of all, it's not like she's a good person. But also, like, what if she was totally innocent? Then I don't think she is. She obviously, like, mountains of evidence that she went and found victims for Jeff and his buddies. But if she were fully innocent and she copped 20 years behind this shit, she'd fucking do what they said too. But the fact that she was fully complicit in this, knew what was going on, and was an integral gear in the machine, of course she's gonna fucking do what these people tell her to do. Maybe she already knows the guy that went to interview her because he was Trump's personal attorney. I don't know. Who fucking knows? Fuck, man. This is all fucking bullshit. And there are like a lot of unforced errors here. And I think that it's just because he's like, because I can. Speaking of because I can, here's Trump saying, making sure that you know that he actually is allowed to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell because her charges were federal. So just so you know, he's allowed to pardon her.
Would you consider a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell if
It's something I haven't thought about. It's really something.
Recommended it.
It's something I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought about.
But you wouldn't rule it out, sir?
I'm allowed to do it. What if the answer is no? What if the answer is no? No, I'm not thinking about that. Because then you can just do it anyway. I mean, I don't know what the fuck the problem is. Here's how Trump talked about pardoning in the past. These are people he either did or didn't pardon. I think most of them he did, but this is sort of how he talked about pardoning people in the past, just for some points of reference here.
Do you consider a pardon to make a whole
I don't want to talk about pardons for Michael Flynn yet.
You pardon Paul Manafort?
I have not even given it a thought as of this moment.
Roger Stone, are you going to pardon him, sir? He's been convicted of felonies.
Am I going to pardon him? Yes. Well, I hadn't thought of it. I think it's very tough what they did to Roger Stone.
Just, you know, this is the same fucking playbook. But that's because he probably hadn't thought about it. But friends, he has lost, of all people, Matt Walsh.
Okay, so then this was like on Sunday, getting into the week, they're talking about this. Now, I don't think this is going to happen. They're not going to change it back to Redskins. Like, it's not going to happen. It just won't. And I will say, I have to say to start with that, look, this whole thing does strike me as a pretty unsubtle attempt to change the subject. Okay, it is hard for me to stomach the idea that Epstein is a boring and unimportant and dumb story, as Trump has said. But the name of the football team in Washington isn't boring, dumb, or unimportant. I mean, that's the problem.
Damn, the worst person you've ever met and all.
You can't come out and say, this is totally ridiculous. Why are we talking about this? It doesn't matter. And then a few days later, launch into a series, like spend a day talking about the name of the football team in Washington. How in the world is that important enough to require the president of the United States to not only speak out about it, but to get involved actively? So that's important enough for that, but not the Epstein files? Like that doesn't make any sense. So when critics claim that this pivot to the Redskins is kind of a ploy to change the subject, yeah, I think it is.
Damn.
Just being honest. And I know it's going to annoy some of you that I'm saying.
Yeah, the Washington Epsteins. Let's fucking go.
Oh, you know them, right? It's going to annoy you because like, yeah, but be a team player. Don't we all know that, of course, that's what he's doing, but don't say it out loud. But I don't, that's a game I don't play. I'll be honest. I'll say out loud whatever I happen to think about a subject, and I'm not going to worry about, well, we don't want to say that because we got to think about the strategy. I'll fully admit I'm not as worried about strategy. I'm just going to tell you what I think, right? That's what I consider my job to be. And so in this case, yeah, this is very clearly an unsubtle attempt to change the subject, and kind of clunky and clumsy, and it doesn't work, and it's too transparent, So just like strategically,
the problem is that it's just too transparent.
And I don't even think we should change the subject because I think that the Epstein subject is important.
So I think a couple things are going on here. One, I think he believes this, and I think a lot of it's because he was talking about the Epstein stuff, and he doesn't want to be like, oh, well, it's not important now that my guy says it's not important. But also, it seems like he's breaking off from the sort of party line over at Daily Wire. And I think that might have something to do with him knowing that the ship is sinking over there. We don't know for a fact, this is a private business that we don't have all the information on, but they seem to have wasted a lot of money trying to do dumb fucking movies that Jeremy Boring wanted to do. So I think that Matt Walsh might see the writing on the wall and might be starting to try to make sure that he has a off ramp from the Daily Wire where he can just, instead of saying they're running out of money before they run out of money, he can be like, hey man, I can't with this bullshit about Epstein. He's like, I just can't stay at this organization anymore. I don't know what's going on. I think that might be what he's trying to do, because here's the leader of the Daily Wire, tiny dancer Ben Shapiro. Trump hasn't lost Ben Shapiro because of this.
Okay, so Democrats, of course, are pushing this incredibly hard. What's fascinating is which Republicans are also pushing this incredibly hard. Because the question there is, what is the agenda? Do they actually believe Trump is complicit in a cover-up? If so, they should just say so out loud.
That's what people are saying, Ben. Not the Republicans. The Republicans are like, uh-oh, we told all the QAnon people that we're going to release this stuff and it's going to take all our enemies down and the fucking storm is coming or whatever. The Democrats have an easy job to do here that they're not even doing very well. They're like, hey, this looks like a cover-up. And my take on this is that it's not even Trump. I believe that he disassociated himself from Epstein over personal reasons, personal differences, two egos. You've seen over the past, he couldn't stay friends with Elon Musk. He couldn't stay friends with Mike Pence. He can't stay friends with fucking anybody. And so I am not doubting that he had a falling out with Epstein, basically over egos, or maybe just a friend of his. Like, hey, man, I know Jeff's doing this, but not to my daughter. He's not. But see, like Tiny Dancer Ben and the rest of the Daily Wire crew is going one way and Matt Walsh is going the other way. And I think it's because Matt Walsh probably figures he has a big enough audience of fucking freaks who hate trans people that he can get out of his Daily Wire contract, go solo and do pretty well.
That nobody will ask them. Do they think Donald Trump is covering the Epstein stuff up?
Yes.
They think Donald.
Yes. No, we don't think that he did that. That's just what they did. They said, we're going to show this to you. No, we're not. No, it's not that whether you think that, that's what they did.
Is covering the Epstein stuff up. Will someone not ask them? I'm asking right now. I'm asking Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massey, if you think Donald Trump is covering up the Epstein stuff, what is it that you think he is covering up and why?
Well, but that's a dumb question, even for Marjorie the Gathering, because the stuff that we haven't seen it, so we don't know what's in there. We're like I said, just redact the names of victims and witnesses, and obviously don't release any videos of assaults. My God, but like we don't know. That's the point. But they said we're going to show you all this stuff, and remember, it was fucking like very thinly veiled QAnon stuff about Jeff Epstein, even though like the QAnon and Pizzagate people didn't start talking about Jeff Epstein until after fucking Julie K. Brown's book dropped.
Can you please just explain it? Seriously, you're the ones making the claim a cover-up is going on of such utter epic proportions that there must be a congressional resolution to pry the files out of these hands. Thomas Massey was walking onto the House floor with a binder labeled the Epstein Files Phase 2 and the bill number of a resolution he is co-sponsoring with Gadfly Ro Khanna, who's attempting to get attention, obviously, for a 2028 run. Massey said
Ro Khanna is not running in 2028.
Bill resolution is non-binding, so it's kind of fake. The resolution I have with Khanna would be binding on the president. So what is it that he thinks that Trump is hiding? And why, if you are a loyal Trumpist Republican, somebody who believes the president ought to succeed, are you doing this? Why are you fostering a conspiracy theory about Trump? Forget about Epstein, a conspiracy theory about a Trump cover-up that Democrats are currently pushing.
Wait, forget about Epstein, but that's what the fucking, wait, what? No, we want what, like, the other thing is, there's not like one file somewhere, right? This is a collection of documents. They're from local, county, state, and federal government related to investigations into Jeffrey Epstein and his associates. That's what people want. People want that stuff. And then it will be the job of the press, journalists, to read through these documents and compile things like lists of clients, lists of known associates, lists of people who may or may not have been clients, lists of, like a list of victims, obviously with their names redacted, but with like, okay, in these documents that, over 100 victims are mentioned. That's like the stuff that, come on, Ben, get the fuck out of here.
For political gain. That is the thing that is happening right now. Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing the same thing. She put out a tweet. If you tell the base of people who support you of deep state treasonous crimes, election interference, blackmail, and rich, powerful, elite, evil cabals, you must take down every enemy of the people. If not, the base will turn and there's no going back. Dangling bits of red meat no longer satisfied. They want the whole steak dinner and will accept nothing else. Okay, fine. So why do you think he's not giving you the so-called steak dinner, Representative Greene? Really? Like, what is your theory of the case? I would love.
We don't need to know that. Like, fuck Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? She thinks that inside of there is going to be some weird shit about like satanic rituals and shit, probably, which is certainly not in there.
To hear your theory of the case. Okay, let's be clear.
Well, no, what do you mean? What is your? Oh, here's a book that I'm not going to let you read. Could you please tell me what's in the book that I'm not letting you read? Could you do a book report on it? You're like, I need to see the book. You're like, why do you need to see the book? I just told you we were doing a book report. Do a book report. Tell me what's in the book. I don't know. I haven't seen the book. You told me you were going to give me the book. Where's the book report? What the fuck? You're like, I haven't seen the book.
Pseudo MAGA is doing here. I'm calling them pseudo MAGA because Trump is the decider of MAGA. He is the person who created MAGA. He's the builder of MAGA. He's the definer of MAGA. Pseudo MAGA are people who claim to speak on behalf of the MAGA movement, who represent a tiny sliver of the people who voted for Donald Trump. What are they actually attempting to do? What they are actually attempting to do, again, is seize control of the supposed MAGA movement from the only person who founded it and created it, Donald J. Trump. That is what is happening right now. They don't like Trump's policy in the Middle East. They don't like Trump's policy on Ukraine. They don't like some of Trump's domestic policy. And so what they are attempting to do is shift allegiances away from Trump and to some sort of bizarre agglomeration of isolationism and gigantic government subsidization scheme. I mean, Massey is on the isolationist side. He's not on the giant government spending side. Green seems to be on the side of both. But whatever the case is, there's clearly an attempt to attack Trump here. Why the attacks on Trump? That's the question I'm asking. Go after Epstein all you want. That's fine. But you are accusing Trump of a cover-up.
Yes.
So if you're accusing Trump of a cover-up, the question is, what's the theory? Or is it a cynical play to attempt to drive down Trump's favorables and
okay, Ben, the theory is that these motherfuckers, including Trump himself and people who he put in high positions of power during the last election cycle, ran on giving people this information. They were courting the QAnon freaks, telling them that essentially the storm was coming. And then they said, what storm? Ben Shapiro has to know this.
He's control of the movement that he built, because that's what it looks a lot like. That's my theory of why you are doing what you are doing. Because I don't believe you that you are doing this in the name of quote unquote transparency. Because if you were doing this in the name of quote unquote transparency, then presumably when House Republicans were in control, because they've been in control of the House for a bit here, you would have been fostering resolutions on the release of Epstein files under Joe Biden, which I don't recall you doing.
Some of the stuff, not a lot of it, but some of it was under court order because of Ghislaine's trial. Some of it was under court order due to civil trials, but also Joe Biden didn't run on this. Joe Biden didn't tell everybody that he was really, I'm telling you, they told not just Trump, it was primarily Dan Bongino and Kash Patel were telling every fucking podcast they could fucking find that they could fucking go on that this stuff needed to be released. And now that they're in a position to do it, and Daddy said no, people are going to be pissed. The fucking QAnon people are pissed.
That, again, why are you, the argument you're making is that Trump and team are covering up the Epstein stuff. If you are if you find yourself on the same side as Ro Khanna on this issue, I'm just wondering why exactly we should consider you loyal members of MAGA if this is indeed about supposed loyalty to MAGA, which is what Taylor Greene is making it all about.
So this is crazy because fucking Ben Shapiro's not supposed to be the guy going out there telling you to fucking do what Daddy says, right? Ben Shapiro's supposed to be like the cool kid's intellectual. He's supposed to be fairly moderate, I guess. I've always thought that he wasn't, but he's been supposedly fairly moderate. Wants the facts, wants to use facts and information to give you a good reason to be a conservative or whatever. And now he's like, bow down to Daddy Trump, which is like not his brand. And I think this is more an indication to me that I think the Daily Wire might be in some real fucking trouble. And I think the calculation of Matt Walsh is like, well, if I'm going to get out of here, this is going to be a good reason for me to leave. And Ben's calculation might be, well, if Trump goes after the rest of the media and somehow manages to sue or fine or otherwise intimidate into oblivion the rest of the media, I could be the heir apparent, so I'm going to fucking hitch my wagon to Trump. Now, this is just me guessing here, and this isn't like my wheelhouse, right, where we like to make fun of people that drink their own piss and stuff around here. But it seems like with Matt Walsh being the only dissenting view over there at the Daily Wire, I think he's planning his off-ramp because that fucking ship is sinking. Speaking of Matt Walsh, there's a guy who I don't even fucking care what his name is. We call him Great Value Matt Walsh here. And here's what he thinks about it. Don't worry, Trump hasn't lost this guy.
When you say, well, I don't think that, it's like, well, I disagree with Pam Bondi because I think she's hiding the Epstein files. And I'd be like, yeah, but also I don't like Pam Bondi because she's a woman. And she shouldn't be in public, not in politics. You know, like the meme is like, you and I are not the same. You don't like it for this reason. I don't like, it's like, oh, I don't like Pam Bondi because of her positions. I'm like, I don't like Pam Bondi because she needs to be at home.
Well, all right. That's a take, I suppose. Jesus fucking Christ. Here we go. This was our last clip about Epstein, thankfully. But this is what happened to Good old Meatball Ron, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis at an event.
I remember WrestleMania 3. He was up. Hey, stop. Is that your legacy? Get out of here. 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 Get out of here.
Do this to fucking Meatball Ron every time you see him. Fuck these people. Like every one of these motherfuckers, just do this. Because they've been spending the whole fucking time yelling at us, being like, oh, you like trans people, you're a groomer. And then they're like, we have these files related to this international ring of international child trafficking ring, but you can't see it actually. Don't want to make anybody sad. All right, up next, we got this. I guess Tulsi Gabbard is supposedly referred Barack Obama for criminal prosecution or whatever. And here's a couple clips of Trump talking about this.
Tulsi Gabbard has submitted a criminal referral to the Department of Justice. From your perspective, who should the DOJ target as part of their investigation? What specific figures in the Obama administration?
Well, based on what I read, and I read pretty much what you read, it would be President Obama. He started it. And Biden was there with him, and Comey was there, and Clapper, the whole group was there. Brennan, they were all there in a room. Right here, this was the room. This is much more beautiful than it was then, but that's...
No, you covered it in gold, and it looks like shit, actually.
It's okay. I have nice pictures up. They came out of the vaults. They were in there for 100 years. This is much more beautiful. We have the Declaration of Independence now in the room, which wasn't here. I guess people didn't feel too good about putting it here, but I do. But you know what? If you look at those papers, they have them stone cold, and it was President Obama. It wasn't lots of people all over the place. It was them too. But the leader of the gang was President Obama, Barack Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him? And
oh yeah, he was the president. He was much more popular than you.
For the fact that he gets shielded by the press for his entire life. That's the one they... Look, he's guilty. It's not a question. I like to say, let's give it time. It's there. He's guilty. This was treason. This was every word you can think of. They tried to steal the election. They tried to obfuscate the election. They did things that nobody's ever even imagined, even in other countries. You've seen some pretty rough countries. This man has seen some pretty rough countries, but you've never seen anything like it.
This is all 100% to distract from this Epstein stuff, right? This is the other version of the storm that everybody thought was coming, right? That the Obama and Clinton and everybody were going to get arrested by the white hats or whatever. Since the storm about the sex trafficking ring by the elites, well, that's not happening because Daddy said no. They're going to go with another version of the storm.
But what we found is even more so. Now, we found absolute, this isn't like evidence this is like proof, irrefutable proof that Obama was seditious, that Obama...
Seditious? You mean seditious?
Was trying to lead a coup.
You mean sedated?
Was with Hillary Clinton, with all these other people, but Obama headed it up. And, I get a kick when I hear everyone talks about people I never even heard of. It was this one. No. It was Obama. He headed it up. And it says so right in the papers. Got everything. This is the biggest scandal in the history of our country. And it really goes on to even the auto pen.
Even the auto pen. Yo, I don't know. They might do it. But I don't know how that plays out, right? Like, I'm not like, oh, Obama was the most wonderful man in the world or whatever. But you can't, you can't go around just arresting your people in politics you don't like and then expect like everybody to just fall in line. Even in this pathetic fucking country where people generally just fall in line, I have a feeling that if this happens, there will be good reason for folks, not just citizens, but people inside the government to work to overthrow the government. And that's that. Did you know that Tulsi Gabbard, it's possible that she referred Obama et al. To for political or for prosecution because she wasn't really super popular with Trump, because not long before Trump said that they weren't releasing the documents, she said they should. So
And I think, who is saying that she would release this to try to boost her standing with the president? Who has said that?
Well, the president has publicly undermined her when it came to Iran. He said she was wrong. He told me that she didn't know what she was talking about. That was on Air Force One on camera.
The only people who are suggesting that the director of national intelligence would release evidence to try to boost her standing with the president are the people in this room who constantly try to sow distrust and chaos amongst the president's cabinet, and it is not working. I will just answer your question directly. I am with the President of the United States every day. He has the utmost confidence in Director Gabbard. He always has. He continues to. And that is true of his entire cabinet, who is all working as one team to deliver on the promises this president made. Does anyone else have questions for Director Gabbard?
Oh no. Oh God. This is all bad. This is all bad. So here we got another one. As a senator, Marco Rubio sort of made noises about exonerating Barack Obama of the very things that Tulsi Gabbard is now accusing Obama of. And you didn't notice, little Marco is in the president's cabinet.
Committee spent several years looking into this and unanimously agreed in a bipartisan fashion, Secretary of State Rubio was a member of that committee, that there was no political interference. There was a years-long Justice Department investigation into this as well that also concluded no political interference. So help us from a 50,000-foot level explain, what do you now have that refutes those two?
Sure, I will encourage.
Oh no! Now they're not going to release these files. Watch, they're gonna be like, we have the Obama files. Oh no, you can't see them. I swear to you, they're gonna fucking do this. I fucking swear to you, that's what's gonna happen. Oh, we're not gonna. No. We don't have the Obama files.
My role as the Director of National Intelligence, my job, again, as I said when I came into this role, was to make sure that we are telling the truth to the American people and that we are ensuring that the intelligence community is not being politicized. So I'm not asking you to take my word for it. I'm asking you in the media to conduct honest journalism and the American people to see for yourself in the documents that we've released now, close to 200 pages, that point in multiple references, multiple examples, to include comments that have been made by senior intelligence professionals, who are some still working within these agencies today, that confirm the conclusions that we have drawn, that President Obama directed an intelligence community assessment to be created to further this contrived false narrative that ultimately led to a years-long coup to try to undermine President Trump's presidency.
And it's your belief that those two previous investigations...
Yeah, but I've seen people, there's got to be more than 200 pages of documents or whatever that they're talking about. But I've seen people, like, I've seen reporters who have read it and they said, oh, there's nothing new here. Again, there's fucking nothing new. They're just releasing like shit that was already fucking out there. And they're like, it's a fucking giant conspiracy. And this is all going to bite them in the ass, probably. It's going to end up going the same way the Epstein stuff does. They're going to run on this or whatever. And like, there's going to be shit in there that they don't want to release. There's going to be shit in there that fucking shows the opposite of what they're saying, or shit in there that shows that there was cause for concern. I'm telling you. Here, this is about the Steele dossier. We're back to talking about the fucking P-tape.
Two questions, but to begin on that. The president yesterday, you've inferred that the former president helped lead a coup. Based on what you now see, do you believe President Obama is guilty of treason?
I'm leaving the criminal charges to the Department of Justice. I'm not an attorney, but as I've said previously, when you look at the intent behind creating a fake manufactured intelligence document that directly contradicts multiple assessments that were created by the intelligence community, The expressed intent and what followed afterward can only be described as a years-long coup and a treasonous conspiracy against the American people, our republic, and an attempt to undermine President Trump's administration.
The Senate Intelligence Committee spent...
So the Steele dossier was Oppo research. That's it. It was Oppo research. It wasn't done by the American intelligence community. This is fucking a different thing. The Steele dossier was, I think, I forget his name, something, Mike Steele, that's not Michael Steele. I forget his name, Matthew Steele, whoever it was former MI6. And now he's like a spook for hire or whatever. Or he was at this time. So it's not the same fucking thing. This is incorrect. Like, just fucking absolutely incorrect. So Matt Walsh is again kind of bucking here. Matt, watch Matt Walsh. Look at this guy. Look at Matt Walsh here. He's like, well, based on what they're telling us here, either these people need to get arrested for treason or Tulsi Gabbard needs to go. This guy is off the leash.
Right now, President Trump is, making a bunch of posts on Truth Social depicting Obama officials in orange jumpsuits. Tulsi Gabbard is doing hits on Fox News and posting these threads on Twitter. They're sounding notes of indignation and outrage. All that is fine. But none of that matters if they fail to actually go and make arrests. Barack Obama himself should be in handcuffs. You cannot allege a treasonous conspiracy and then do nothing about it. Now, if I seem a bit cynical here, the typical pattern by Republicans since forever is to make these kinds of claims, but to make them only on social media and Fox News and to never actually bring it to a court of law so the parties responsible can be held accountable for.
Holy shit, is Matt Walsh figuring out that he's been fucking had? And it's not that he's like a liberal or whatever. He's a fucking giant piece of shit. Don't get me wrong here. Like, you don't got to hand it to Matt Walsh. But is he figuring out right now in real time that he's been fucking had? And the problem here isn't so much that the Republicans are lying or whatever. It's that they've been lying to him and that that his ego is fucking bruised and battered because he's a rube. I think he's realizing that he's been had. Also, this could all just be bullshit, and he knows that the Daily Wire is dying, and he's trying to create an off-ramp for himself.
For their crimes. And I'm tired of it. I'm sick to death of it. Go arrest these people and bring them to justice. Funny memes and outraged sound bites on Fox News are not going to cut it anymore. Go make an arrest. Put somebody in prison. And if you
wait, so obviously don't do that, actually. Also, isn't Obama like immune from prosecution if what he was doing was technically an act as the president?
Then what does any of this matter? Why should we care about any of this if you won't follow it up by putting people in prison?
Dude, you start throwing fucking members of the Obama administration, not just the last administration, but an administration from now 10 years ago almost. You start throwing those people, you will have riots. You will have riots like you have never seen in this country. Not because everybody loves Barack Obama, but because people are like, oh, we're doing this now. And then the people are going to go, no, we're not doing this now, actually.
In fact, I'll say this. The consequences of these allegations from Tulsi must be one of two things. Either top Obama officials are arrested, or Tulsi Gabbard should be fired. Now, I like Tulsi.
I don't care.
I hope she's not fired, but the only valid reason to not make any arrests is if the claims that she made are false. And if the DNI is falsely alleging treasonous conspiracies publicly, then clearly she should be run out of town.
Well, that's also, if they're doing that, that's crazy because they're doing exactly what they're accusing the Obama administration of doing, which is what I think is happening, actually.
But if what she's saying is true, and I believe that it is, as I just outlined for 15 minutes, then failure to make arrests would make top Trump officials complicit in the conspiracy after the fact. There is no legitimate reason to make no arrests if the claims are true. So something must happen here. Someone has to be punished. Or else none of this means anything at all. It's just fodder for cable news and nothing else.
Watching Matt Walsh start to apparently slowly realize that he's been played might be the story of the summer. As the Daily Wire crumbles and Matt Walsh realizes that he's been fucking played, that he's a sucker, that might be the story of the summer, and I'm fucking here for it. I'm so fucking here for this story. Up next on the Benny Johnson show, they're trotting out fucking Michael Flynn now because what they need to do here, they need to rile up the Q freaks about something else, right? Because the QAnon people are fucking, as are most people, being like, you said you had all these files about Jeff Epstein. You said that it was going to like take down the deep state and we were going to expose all the fucking people hurting the children and all that. And then they're like, no, we're not. And so like, but this isn't going to work. Those people don't care that much about Obama, right? The central thing about the Save the Children thing, the Pizzagate and QAnon, was that the Democrats were running child sex trafficking rings. Not just that, you know, random people had committed offenses or whatever, but there was an organized attempt by the Democrats, the deep state, and the media to do a child sex trafficking ring. Now saying that Obama ordered an investigation into Trump during the election because it looked like there was Russian interference, that doesn't really have the same juice. And the squeeze ain't going to work. Here's Michael Flynn.
Final question, General. Since you're a military man, you rose to the highest conceivable ranks within the military.
No, he didn't.
Civilian structure in the White House. You're
in the civilian structure. Yeah, he was near the top. Listen, making 3 stars as a general is some shit. You did a lot of bad shit and fucking a lot of hard work to get there. You wasn't a 4-star general, though.
Your credentials are impeccable. When Stephen Miller calls this a seditious conspiracy, when Tulsi Gabbard calls it a traitorous act, treason against our country, those seem like legal terms, but also really military terms. And since Barack Obama was the commander-in-chief, what angle would it be to go at this from a military perspective? Perhaps you could explain, what does treason and seditious conspiracy mean from a military perspective? Would you advise them to go after them on those terms?
I would. I absolutely would. I would advise.
Yep, this is the fucking white hats in the military are going to fucking arrest the deep state. This is fucking straight up QAnon circa 2019, 2020.
To go after on those terms and make sure that they have them locked in tight terms of the legalities. But what I want people to understand is, after World War II, we had the Nuremberg trials, and there was a lot of people that were found guilty, and because they stood at they when they got on the stand, they said, well, I was just following orders. Well, Jim Clapper, John Brennan, Jim Comey, Susan Rice, Sally Yates, and many others, Lisa Monaco, many others. You're not going to get away with it. If Barack Obama directed you, and it appears that he did, this is very intentional. This 8 December 2016 meeting that they had, where it looks like, which was something that was not on my radar, Benny. So this is a new piece of evidence that
this was after the election. This was after the election. This was after the fuck this. This was after the election. Fuck out of here.
Tulsi has exposed that to me, in addition to some of the other critical criminal evidence that has been discovered. I think that they're going to have to look at conspiracy, treason, traitorous activities by some of these people, and particularly starting at the very top, and that would be Barack Obama. They were ready to convict and throw Donald Trump in prison for the rest of his life, Benny. So all bets are off when it comes to immunity. There's no immunity for this president, not President Obama, for what he did. So
wait, why? This was an official act as the president. Excuse the shit out of you. Careful what you wish for, asshole.
Could you have a military there? Could you have a military tribunal for the commander in chief?
I don't know, but it ought to be explored. It should be explored.
This is all signaling to the fucking Q people, the people that thought the storm was coming. They're like, oh, the white hats in the military are going to fucking take out the fucking deep state. But now the deep state isn't like like a child sex trafficking ring or whatever, headed by the fucking CEO of Netflix and Disney and whatever. Now it's like we had a meeting to try to determine to what extent the Russians may or may not have had an impact on the election, and what we should do about it if it's determined that they did. So that's like not the storm. That is not the storm these motherfuckers were promised. But don't worry, that's not important. They need to revoke Obama's passport and then raid his house. Barack Obama could do the funniest thing right now and just move to Canada, by the way.
General, your name is mentioned in these documents. You've been on our program for years. You've been writing books. You've been crying out from the wilderness about what they did to you. What a remarkable moment. And the floor is yours. The landscape has been set. General, what do you see happening next?
Yeah, well, a couple of things. I have made this recommendation that I think that all of these people that are involved, starting with Obama on down, they all ought to have their passports revoked. And people don't need to be checking private airplanes and private airfields for anybody trying to abscond the country and get the hell.
You think a man with Barack Obama's political connections can't get out of the country even if you revoke his passport?
Here, so that's number one. I do think that just as was done to President Trump.
And how do you check private planes?
They raided his
Pull
home
him over?
in Mar-a-Lago. Because they thought that there was, and they planted evidence there in that case.
Oh, they planted the evidence now. This is a new one. When they raided Trump's place and actually found classified documents that they asked him for, that he refused to give them. They planted it there. They knew they were going to plant it there, so they asked him for it when he's. Come on, this man. Fuck the police. Fuck law enforcement. They come on. This is like really bad. This is like I would watch this TV show and never watch this TV show again if this is what he's describing happened on a TV show.
But I do think that what the DOJ should be considering, if not getting ready to conduct, is a raid of Barack Obama's home up there at Kalorama in Washington, D.C., where he's been.
That motherfucker didn't take so much as a pen from the White House. Get out of here.
Since he physically left the White House. He's been running the White House, all during the Biden regime. And I do think that there's some other places that need to be raided where there are likely, a lot of evidence, a lot of receipts, so to speak, in many of these people that are part of the Obama White House, as well as the Biden White House. I mean, I just heard the great David Schoen talking about the former Deputy Attorney General Monaco, who also was the Homeland Security Advisor to Barack Obama. So that's number one. Those are things that need to be considered right now. And I was ready to wake up this morning to hear about some of these raids that should have been going on. There should, as a minimum, be a task force assembled by of federal law enforcement authorities, as well as a assigned, dedicated prosecutor at the DOJ level, at the Attorney General level, someone who is working directly for her and for the President of the United States. This has got to happen very quickly.
Yeah, we got to do this now so that people shut the fuck up about Jeff Epstein. Dude, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Dude, check this out. You start going after all these people that were like up there in the military brass, up there in the intelligence community. You start going after these people and you get killed. They're going to, this is just how you die. You start going after you think the former CIA director ain't fucking still plugged in? Get out of here. That's how you end up dead. They're not doing none of this. And then they're fucking telling these people the storm is coming again, and the storm's not going to come again, and then more of these fucking people are going to turn on them. Matt Walsh has turned on these people. Think about how fucking stupid, incompetent, and fucking Matt Walsh. I think Matt Walsh is turning on these people though because he realizes that he's a sucker and it hurts his ego. Right? He doesn't have any fucking ideological or moral opposition to what's going on here. But you're making a sucker out of all these people that you told everybody, the Democrats and the deep state all think that you're a sucker. Well, now you're the one saying that they're a sucker. Here, this is just from Congress this week. These are deeply unserious people. Check this out. This is not about arresting Obama.
Would you agree that Mandarin language skills are a valuable tool for U.S. diplomats working on China and strategic competition issues? It's not a hard question, Madam Undersecretary.
No, I'm still wondering if we're going to be able to respond to some of the other
It's my
statements.
time, so you are welcome to send me a written response, but I'm asking you about Mandarin language skills. Do you think they're valuable?
We have Mandarin language skills at the Department of State, yes.
So you think they're valuable?
Yes.
And the department just fired over 1,300 staff to meet an arbitrary firing target. Do you know what % of the department's total Mandarin language capacity was lost in that RIF?
Congresswoman, the reorganization was not arbitrary, nor was it haphazard.
Do you know how many of the department's total Mandarin language capacity was lost in the
I'm
RIF?
unaware of that.
So you don't know even how we're staffing our relationship with China, and you're the Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs. Can you at least tell me if language skills, in this case Mandarin, weigh into the department's evaluation of individual staff that were RIF'd?
Thank you, and thank you, Congresswoman, for that question. The Office of China Affairs falls under my purview.
And you don't know. Good. Oh, how many? Do you know how many people we have that speak Mandarin now?
I'm responsible for the diplomacy that is conducted out of the Office.
And you think diplomacy can be done without people that speak the skills?
And also the embassy. And I have confidence in our training programs at the Department of State.
Sounds like you're not really aware of what skills we have to actually build that relationship.
She just started being like, well, I don't know, this is my responsibility. Well, yeah, that is the that is it's like the landscape on which the questions you're being asked exists. Very good, very good. That is the premise of the question is that this is your responsibility. Oh no. Everybody though, don't worry. We're getting rid of the woke. So that's what's really fucking important here. We are getting rid of the woke. Great websites we use here. Here's Donald Trump. It's something or another.
And third, once and for all, we are getting rid of woke. Is that okay? Because I know you had to hire all woke people. I heard you had to hire all woke people under some of these things. How about the chips where they give?
They had to hire all the wokes. They had to hire woke people. Woke is just code for like not a white Christian man. Like anybody who thinks that that's anything else is just like, they're just lying. They're lying to you, to themselves, probably to you. Well, not so much to themselves. They're not lying. They know woke is code for like black or like women or gay people or black women or black gay people. It's all code for that. Here's a nightmare CNN panel on tariffs. I don't know why they had the fucking asshole from Shark Tank on there. I mean, they're all assholes on Shark Tank, but the assholiest asshole from Shark Tank is on there. They're talking about the tariffs and the trade deals.
You can't win your argument tonight at 4:30. I'm sorry. It's already been decided by fact.
Adam, last word.
You lost.
If tariffs worked, Trump wouldn't have to gaslight the American people about who paid the tariff in the first place, and you wouldn't have to pivot to the stock market every single time we try to bring up the on-the-ground effects, the unpredictability that tariffs create. Think about the long-term effects for my generation. Can you sit here and look me in the eye and say that tariffs are not inflationary?
Are you kidding? Right now, everything's working because the market...
Oh, bring up the market one more time. One more time. Pivot right.
Uh-oh, this guy does not like being talked to like this. This is like the young people. This guy's, 25, 27 something. Young people are not with this bullshit. This old dude, I forget this guy's fucking name here. The Shark Tank guy is not used to being talked to like this.
The market is the American economy.
It was a super simple question.
Which is?
Tariffs inflationary or not?
Not yet, there haven't been.
I know, but are they inflationary?
2.7%. Data from June shows that prices have gone up. There's a little bit of inflation, which informed Jerome Powell, head of the Federal Reserve.
Eggs are down.
Let me finish my point.
I see he is not used to being contradicted, but you notice he is this guy Kevin O'Leary is not used to being contradicted or told that he's wrong or told to answer a fucking question. He is not here for this shit because he's some powerful, rich white guy. He is not here for this shit. He does not like this.
Finish my point. It informed Jerome Powell's decision to hold off on cutting interest rates. Exactly. People are unable to buy homes because mortgages are far more expensive.
You guys hate numbers.
No, I don't hate numbers. I actually love numbers.
You hate numbers.
I fucking laugh at this guy every time. Laugh at these people.
I'll say something.
I bring you numbers.
I'll
you
say
hate
something
them.
positive about Trump. I'll say something positive about his tariff policy. In his first term, he was way smarter about tariffs. They were targeted. They were smart. They were so good that Biden came in, he kept them in place, and even expanded upon them. But what Trump did by slapping on these insanely high tariffs, this like coercive thing with every country we do trade with, think about it. If I were one of those countries, how about we band together and refuse to make good deals with Trump?
All right, we got to leave it there. Bad news for all of you.
I have really bad news for you. I have really bad news for all you. That guy does not like being contradicted. But if you noticed, and Anna Kasparian is fucking, she's a ghoul now too. But if you noticed, he didn't interrupt the young man as much as he interrupted Anna, just because he's a man. I think the guy's probably a sexist. So that was great. I love watching fucking that. The thing I liked about that clip is that the first guy, I forget his name now, Adam Mockler, like laughed at him, didn't take him the least bit fucking seriously, was like, what are you talking about? These people do not like not being taken seriously. So up next, we have Representative Rosa DeLario from Connecticut on looks like a panel from local news about the so-called Big Beautiful Bill.
There's no shortage of food in the United States of America. Zip, none.
Strong opinions out of Wallingford Friday when state and local leaders from various Connecticut food distribution organizations got together to talk about the major cuts on the way to SNAP, thanks to President Trump's Big Beautiful Bill.
We are up 47%, and that is our slow period.
Frustration, fear, and anxiety filling the room over how the funding cuts will impact the ability to get food on the table to those in need. Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro and Comptroller Sean Scanlon listening to their constituents and acknowledging the challenges that lie ahead as they navigate the slashes that could impact some 40 million SNAP recipients nationally.
I think there's every reason to be fearful. This is a moment to stand up, to fight back, to say this is unacceptable.
Make no mistake, people will be left behind because of this bill.
Now that the Big Beautiful Bill has been signed into law, state leaders say they'll be working to figure out how to backfill, working to ensure no families go without food, but it may not be an easy task.
30% of the food that we distribute comes from the federal government. And in the last 4 months, we've had 35 trailer loads of food canceled. It's the equivalent of about $1.7 million.
The Trump administration says the cuts to SNAP were necessary to target waste, fraud, and abuse. They also call it a money saver, taking away hundreds of billions of dollars from the program over the next decade. The people in this room are not convinced it'll be going to the right places.
They cut Medicaid, they've cut the food programs, and it's all to pay for tax cuts for the wealthiest and for the biggest corporations.
In Wallingford, Zuri Hoffman.
I wish the news would stop calling it the Big Beautiful Bill. I wish they would just name it like whatever the House resolution or the Senate resolution was, instead of like calling it the Big Beautiful Bill. I called it the Big Beautiful Bill, but I'm some idiot Twitch streamer who is usually by 2 hours into my news program already the lights up that are red and already drinking. So this is great. These people hate centrally planned economies until it comes time. Maybe that Trump should centrally plan the economy in conjunction with Xi Jinping.
Because the president has used tariffs on so many levels, not just to raise revenue, but also to try to even the playing field for fair trade for America, but also some of these non-tariff barriers, like what he said in Brazil about the treatment of the former president there. What would be an ideal scenario? What do you want the Chinese Communist Party to do in order to get back or stay at these current tariff levels and get that August 12th deadline extended?
Well, again, we want them to open up. They are imbalanced right now. They're about 30% of global manufacturing and exports. That's unsustainable. And look, they've got 1.4 billion people. With very high savings rate, they have the potential for a big consumer economy. President Trump is remaking the U.S. into a manufacturing economy. If we could do that together, we do more manufacturing, they do more consumption, that would be a home run for the global economy.
So one of the big things that these fucking so-called intellectuals, the criticism of communism essentially, is that it's a centrally planned economy, right? This would be their criticism of communism. I don't think there's a problem with centrally planning your economy. It's, people have different views on that. That's fine. But now they want Trump to centrally plan the economy and also get in with the Chinese so the Chinese can centrally plan their economy in a way that benefits Donald Trump. The central planning is bad. Centrally planned economies are bad. It's totalitarianism. Unless it's us doing it in conjunction with a group of people that we've been telling you for the last fucking however long is like this totalitarian nation that you're supposed to be afraid of. But don't worry, they'll make plans with Trump so that everybody in China starts buying fucking American products that we somehow magically make and send there. This was all over the news this week. This is Trump had a meeting at the Fed with the Fed chairman Jerome Powell. Check this out.
Yeah. So we're taking a look, and it looks like it's about 3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot.
No, look at him. No, he's like, no, dude, nope.
0.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
Fuck yeah. I mean, fuck the Federal Reserve. Fuck all these rich guys. But if this guy's gonna just be like, nah, dude, nah. Oh, this guy probably helped Obama plan the treason. They're gonna fucking arrest this guy too.
It just came out.
Our notes had it about 3.1 as well.
3.1,
3.2. This came from us?
Yes. I don't know who does that.
You're including the Martin renovation. You just added
our entire capital.
Yeah, you just added in a third building is what that is. That's a third building.
Well, no, but it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago.
Whatever they're talking about.
It's part of the overall work.
But it's not new.
So we're going to
he's like, man, that shit's 5 years ago. What are you talking about? It's like, let me see this document. Again, I mean, fuck the Fed chair. That guy's a ghoul and was responsible for untold fucking economic suffering. But he was like, man, he's like, listen, it was like, we like to lie in a slightly different way. Man, they are mad. They are mad at mayors. Let me tell you.
Companies to join us in rejecting poisonous Marxism in our technology. It'll be very interesting to see what's happening in New York, because they're actually electing a communist in New York. They like to call him a socialist. He's not a socialist. He's a communist. But don't worry, you're going to be okay. He still has to get his money from the White House, and that's not going to happen until he shapes up.
Nah, dude, that guy is not going to bow down. That guy is not going to bend the knee to Donald Trump. That's why he doesn't like him. That dude is not going to bend the knee to Donald Trump. He just isn't. He's going to represent the city of New York. And he's going to win. There's no way. They're not going to be, they can't do nothing. He's going to win in New York City. Unless they kill him. Which doesn't seem off the table. Or maybe they fucking deport him. Which also doesn't seem like it's off the table, I guess. So, Trump went to Scotland. And there's a lot of stuff that happened, but I just picked one small thing because, as you can tell, there's a lot. This was a lot of clips, a lot of stuff to go over this week. So he was talking about his golf course and how beautiful it is, except then he saw the fucking windmills.
I would love to see. I mean, today I'm playing the best course I think in the world, Turnberry. Even though I own it, it's probably the best course in the world, right? And I look over the horizon and I see 9 windmills.
So you can't see over the horizon. The horizon.
Great. At the end of the 18th, I said, isn't that a shame? What a shame You have the same thing all over Europe in particular. You have windmills all over the place. Some of the countries prohibit it, but
which countries prohibited windmills?
People ought to know that these windmills are very destructive. They're environmentally unsound, just the exact opposite. Because the environmentalists, they're not really environmentalists, they're political hacks.
So that presser didn't go so well. I encourage you to fucking go. The foreign press does not fucking have any reason to be afraid of Donald Trump, and they're not. So this next clip here, I guess we're in palate cleanser territory. If this raccoon knew that if this raccoon knew about the cops, the raccoon wouldn't be hanging out and glad-handing and being funny for the cops. But this is a cute story, I suppose.
To become the department's next K9, meet Gerald. Officers responding to a call about a rabid raccoon yesterday when they came across Gerald. He's just a little fella. Turns out he's not rabid. The raccoon was just incredibly friendly and loved people. The officers say Gerald followed them around and even jumped into their squad on command. Despite more than 260 Facebook comments about adding Gerald to the force, officers had to take him to the Roseville Wildlife Rehab.
Oh, we wish Gerald the best of luck. Yeah. He's going to live a long life out there.
Yeah. If that raccoon only had the cognitive capacity to understand what the cops are, that would have played out a lot different. Up next, we got, this might be the song of the summer. That's my take on this. And thanks to Ali Drew for always putting in a couple fun things into the docket channel on the Discord so that we can have some kind of fun during this horrible shit show of a news program.
He's a little pig man, pig man, pig man. He's a little pig man, JD Vance. He's a little pig man. He's a little pig man, pig man, pig man. He's a little pig man, JD Vance. He's a little pig man. He has no value whatsoever other than to squeal for Trump's amusement. Pig man, pig man. And my first thought was, pig man, pig man. He's a little pig man. This guy's a little pig man. I think the thing about Vance, the thing that makes him even more of a little pig man is I think he knows he's a little pig man, but he eagerly gobbles up the slop, does not respect himself. JD Vance eagerly gobbles up the slop, does not respect himself. He's a little pig man. JD Vance eagerly gobbles up the slop, does not respect himself. I just want to say, eagerly gobbles up the slop, does not respect himself.
I like that was a little bit of a disco flavor to it, too. I thought might be the song of the summer. If there's a slam and remix of it, I might play that. So here's what appears to be somebody from somebody just admitting a congressperson. This would be the FCC chair, actually, Brendan Carr, sort of admitting maybe that they had possibly pressured CBS to get rid of Stephen Colbert, which is a weird thing for the FCC chair to admit to. Now, mind you, he didn't just say it, but you can draw your own conclusions based on what he does say.
Thanks. Good to be with you.
Let's just go ahead and get it out of the way. Did President Trump have anything to do with the cancellation of Stephen Colbert's show?
Well, here's what's important to keep in mind is a broader dynamic. When President Trump ran for election, he ran right at these legacy broadcast media outfits and the New York and Hollywood elites that are behind it, and he smashed the facade that these are gatekeepers that can control what Americans think and what Americans can say. And once you do that, you've exposed the business model of a lot of these outfits as being nothing more than a partisan circus. And so I think there's a lot of consequences that are flowing from President Trump deciding, I'm not going to play by the rules of politicians in the past and let these legacy outfits dictate the narratives in the terms of the debate. And he's succeeding. Just look at what's happening. NPR has been defunded. PBS has been defunded. Colbert is getting cancer. You've got anchors in...
no, not cancer. His show is canceled, but May of next year.
Media personalities losing their jobs. Again, all of this is downstream of President Trump's decision to stand up. And he stood up for the American people because the American people do not trust these legacy gatekeepers anymore. And all of this, I think, is consequences of that broader dynamic.
Okay, I asked you a very direct question. I did not hear a yes or a no in your answer. I heard a maybe.
Yeah, ultimately, these are business decisions for CBS to make and for these outfits to make. And I'm, shocked at the type of stuff that you just played. They don't find to be in their profitable business interests.
So yes. The answer kind of yes. The View is next, by the way. They're gonna get rid of The View. I'm not a big fan of The View. I don't watch The View. I don't really watch a lot of TV, I guess, but maybe The View is next. Those people say mean things about Trump.
Let's go to The View, shall we? Joy Behar yesterday said this.
First of all, who tried to overthrow the government on January 6th?
Wait, let me think. Who
was that again? That was not Obama. The thing about him is that he's so jealous of Obama because Obama is everything that he is not.
Yeah.
Trim. Smart, handsome,
happily
married, and can sing Al Green's song "Let's Stay Together" better than Al Green.
Yeah,
and
not better than Al Green.
It's driving him crazy. Jealousy is not green is not a good color.
That from yesterday. Who knows what happens today? The White House chose to respond to that. And this is what they said. Joy Behar is an irrelevant loser suffering from a severe case of Trump derangement syndrome. It's no surprise that The View's ratings hit an all-time low last year. She should self-reflect on her own jealousy of President Trump's historic popularity before her show is the next to be pulled off air, end quote. Is The View now in the crosshairs of this administration?
Look, it's entirely possible that there's issues over there. I mean, again, stepping back, this broader dynamic, once President Trump has exposed these media gatekeepers and smashed this facade, there's a lot of consequences. I think the consequences of that aren't quite finished. And look, The View's got a lot of challenges there. It wasn't that long ago, I think one episode, one show alone, they had to stop, interrupt the show, and read 4 separate legal notices to try to avoid legal liability. So I'm not surprised to hear people saying that their ratings are struggling.
Well, sir, where does
So they're like openly threatening. Well, I guess they're not openly threatening anymore. It seems like CBS, Paramount, or whatever has just bent the knee to these people. And apparently they got Columbia University to pay a fine of $221 million for it's about the protests and anti-Semitism or something, and the Jewish students not feeling safe on campus. But this lady we saw earlier being questioned at Congress, she didn't get the memo that that's what this was supposedly about. So,
and I think that this is a monumental victory for conservatives who've wanted to do things on these elite campuses for a long time, because we had such far left-leaning, professors, and we had 27% of the students that are coming in, are from outside of the United States. I think that's one of Harvard's stats, and so Columbia is clearly on board. I'm really pleased with this victory. It wouldn't have happened if Donald Trump were not president, and I'm really pleased to execute his vision for this, that our campuses are now they're what they should be. They're places for debate. They're places for education. They're not places for left-leaning riots and anti-Semitism. And I'm really pleased with this result.
Well, you should be. I mean, this is an incredible victory.
So, yeah, she got in at the end, but she's like, it's too woke. It's too woke. Dude, So I was at university. I spent very little time there engaged in formalized debate in my classes. That wasn't, anybody here remember doing a lot of debate during your classes at a university? They had a club for that. It was called Debate Club. I didn't join that shit. Fuck joining Debate Club. But no, that's not what you're there to learn. It's not a debate club. This is stupid. This is a dumb thing that they've been trying to say the whole time. You're not there to debate. Yeah, somebody in chat said in political science, but even then, that was my major, and it wasn't debate class. It was a lot of what Millard Ein's in the chat saying, a lot of lecture, a lot of labs, a lot of reading, a lot of research. Now we're going to move on to the DHS and ICE part of the docket because we're 2 hours and 15 minutes into what's usually an hour and a half show. So here, this is actually I skipped ahead here. Hold on a sec. So we have they're arresting people who are attending their court hearings, like where the judge is like, oh, your next hearing date is this for your immigration status. So when that court hearing happens, they show up and arrest the people for doing what the judicial branch told them to do.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I'm so proud.
So that's horrible because these people are told, they're like, come to your court date and we'll adjudicate this. They're not even being guaranteed that they'll get citizenship or that their asylum claim will be, accepted or anything, but they're like, we have a process that you need to come to and do this. And the people are like, okay, we'll do the process. And then they show up for the process, and then a bunch of goons who don't really even appear, like one of the guys was just wearing khakis and a fucking t-shirt. Like these are, I don't know, these are like probably a lot of private contractors doing this. This is fucked up. Here's one. They arrested two people at a surgical center in Ontario, not for any reason, not for being having a court date or having any reason to believe that they're here without authorization, just for asking to see an arrest warrant for somebody they were coming into this place to arrest. They themselves got themselves arrested for being like, you ain't got no warrant.
Let him go. Hey, let go.
These people, that lady's a hero.
Get out. Coming into a private business like this, it's a private business. I'm not. You are not a federal agent to begin with. I'm not touching you. Identify yourself.
They arrested two people there. I'm assuming homegirl who put her body against the machine, as the famous speech at Sproul Hall says. She got arrested, and I'm just guessing, probably the man who came to her aid probably got arrested here. This is fucked up. This is fucked up. We, as always, the heroes in our society are the nurses. I don't know if she's a doctor or nurse. I just assume these people are nurses based on their outfits. Those are the heroes in our society. So sometimes on Tuesdays after down ballot, when we do public comment, we end up talking about Huntington Beach. And Huntington Beach seems like a bit of a fashy kind of place. But check this out. This is in Huntington Beach, and it looks like the entire community and the police department and members of the city council, of all things, if you've been here on Tuesdays, told them to get the fuck out, and then they left.
Your job? You're not ashamed? You're not ashamed? For a couple of pennies, trying to fight your way into my motherfucking house, you weirdos? Weirdos? They thought you were alone. Little did they know.
What's
get the fuck out of here. Impersonators that wanna be. You wish you be law enforcement.
Yup.
Piece of roaches they are. Cockroaches. Why you know? Oh my God.
Wait, she's waiting on motherfuckers.
Get out of our city. Let's go.
We don't work with them. We don't work with them, bro. You gotta understand that. I know, but thank you. We respect you guys a lot.
No, don't respect the Huntington Beach police. Fuck that.
Arrested.
Yeah. I'm trying to get them to leave.
Yeah, arrested. Hey, motherfuckers! Who made you leave, bitch? Fuck you! Fuck out of my house!
Get the fuck out of here! We got the city council right here. Yeah! Get them out! We got them out.
So what we're finding out here from Huntington Beach and then from LA is if the city government stands up to these raids, that they leave. And this is an important thing for you to understand and for you to realize. Now, there's going to be city governments, and I would have expected Huntington Beach to be one of them, that were pretty simpatico with this shit. But maybe not, because Huntington Beach is a tourist town, right? So who you think cleaned the toilet at the hotel over there in Surf City, right? Sometimes maybe the money. Sometimes you follow the money, and you get you get some of the stuff you want. And so, just think about this. Think about if there's any way in which you can pressure the local government in your town, maybe in your county, to come to the assistance of people in your community when this stuff starts happening. Because we saw in Huntington Beach and we saw in LA that when the fucking high-ranking members of the city government show up, the fucking goon squad leaves. And the polls on this have turned. It was close to 50-50. And after this stuff started coming out and people started seeing what's going on, it ain't no 50-50 anymore. But don't worry, the border czar Tom Homan went on to MSNBC to tell you that actually that's incorrect. Those polls are wrong.
So, Mr. Homan, obviously, this is one of this mass deportation program, one of President Trump's signature campaign promises. But there's been a series of polls lately, including a new one from CBS, in which 56% of those surveyed disapprove of the president's immigration stances. That's a 10-point drop from back in February, blamed by some on some of the in-your-face tactics, the masked ICE agents, the detention centers like Alligator Alcatraz. Why do you think that the majority of Americans right now do not like what they're seeing?
Well, first of all, I don't believe the polls. Second of all, if there's any movement in the polls at all, it's because of the false stories out there about ICE. Like I read in the paper every day that a majority of people in ICE custody are not criminals. Wrong. The majority are criminals, but now the argument is, are they criminal enough? Is a DUI dangerous enough? Well, 10,000 people a year die from DUIs. I think DUI is a crime. So, then you got this whole, back and forth on how serious a crime is it. But I looked at the numbers yesterday. A majority are criminals, have criminal history. Who are the rest of the people in our custody? They're national security threats. They may not have a criminal conviction, but they're a national.
Oh, wait a minute. Now, well, actually, they're just a security threat. Just a minute ago, he was saying that these people all are criminals, but now he's just saying, well, they weren't really convicted of anything, but they're criminals because I say so.
Security threats based on intelligence reports. For instance, ICE arrests over 200 Iranian nationals that are currently in custody. Yeah, they're not.
But they're Iranian. So are they just criminal by virtue of being an Iranian national? Now they're criminals just because that's their nation of origin is Iran. Now that's the standard. Fuck it. You decide what countries you don't like, I guess, and that's who the criminals are. Fuck you.
They're not documented criminals, but they're national security threats. They need to be detained. There's also what we call expedited removal cases. There are certain immigration arrests that we make within the confines of the border within 2 years that we process through expedited removal, which by statute, by federal law, we're required to detain. So that the media just isn't telling the truth about who are in detention. On the second part of that, I see all the stories that the majority of people ICE arrests are not criminals. That's a fake story. We are prioritizing criminals and public safety threats, but who are the other people you see us arresting? Fugitives, those who had due process at great taxpayer expense. A federal judge ordered them removed. Rather than leaving, they became a fugitive and they're in the wind. The law requires us to execute those removal orders. That's a job for ICE. If the federal judge orders them removed, we are supposed to remove them. So we're removing final orders. And again, who else we're out there arresting? National security threats that may not have a criminal conviction.
But you just mentioned, you said some of these are Iranian nationals. That doesn't, so what?
But we're required to arrest them and detain them and remove them. So I think the media is purposely giving misinformation to American people what ICE is doing and is raising the rhetoric.
Man, this guy is not helping. This guy, this guy's an idiot. This guy's dumb. He sounds dumb. I know that it's not great, to judge people based on how they speak, but the guy sounds dumb. And it sounds like it sounds like what happens to people, and I'm not qualified to make like a diagnosis. We can't diagnose it. Sounds like what happens to people when they drank too much, like over the course of their life, and their brain gets poisoned by alcohol. That's what he sounds like. He definitely sounds like a guy who spent a lot of time drinking a lot of whiskey.
The masks, I think, are important. How do we get rid of the mask? Stop the hateful rhetoric. Assaults on ICE officers are up over 800%. And I specifically mean members of Congress. If members in Congress can compare ICE to the Nazis, that gives some of those people on the far left that know that the out of control people, it emboldens them to take action. I'm just asking to let's stop the hateful rhetoric. And if you
no, don't stop calling this what it is. Fuck that. Call this what it is. I think the media has been Trump's lapdog. Media has undersold the legacy media, cable news, MSNBC, the one that they think is like the far left outlet, has like undersold what's happening here.
Then let's go to Congress and talk about the immigration law and what changes are needed. But again, they're simply enforcing the law that they're required to enforce and uphold the oath they took to enforce those laws.
Yeah, that's what I used to say about IRS agents. If you don't like what the IRS is doing, talk to members of Congress. They're the ones that pass the law. So I understand what you're saying, and certainly if there's more,
fuck Morning Joe,
then understand the balancing act on the masks as well.
Fuck Morning Joe.
Tom Holman, thank you so much.
Fuck Morning Joe. Everybody's like, oh, Morning Joe's one of the good Republicans. He stands up to the fucking Republicans. No, he just doesn't like Donald Trump because Donald Trump's a blowhard asshole who said mean shit about Mika Brzezinski. But in the end, he's like, well, it's a tough balancing act. I don't know, fucking masked goons who won't identify themselves show up. Well, maybe they're masked goons who won't identify themselves because you've been so mean about the masked goonery that they've been doing this whole time. Here we go. Here's another one. They're taking back the streets. This is from a guy. He ain't in them streets. Right. This is Tuberville. This is Tommy Tuberville, I think is his name. And, they're taking back them. Just homeboy, Tuberville ain't out on the streets.
Border Patrol, they get up every day, put a badge on, a gun on their side, and not knowing whether they're going to come back or not.
So we're not talking about the Border Patrol. These aren't the Border Patrol. The Border Patrol patrols the border. This is Gestapo. This is the Gestapo. This isn't the Border Patrol. Don't love the Border Patrol, but this is not the Border Patrol.
President Trump gave them authority, and they need to take that authority. If they shot at, they need to shoot back. We need to take advantage of what's going on right now and make sure we take our streets back because the Democrats have could care less about that. They want their voters.
They could care less about them streets, but you know who's out in them streets? It's fucking Tuberville.
So they're not. That's the voters for the Democratic Party. These people that are breaking all these laws all over the country.
Yeah, and isn't it funny that Hunter Biden says that the millions of illegal aliens the Democrats allowed to break in, their job is to clean our hotel rooms and clean our toilets and all that kind of stuff. And these Democrats have the gall to call us racists.
Well, no, he didn't say it's their. No. That's what they do. If the hospitality fucking industry fucking falls apart without fucking undocumented immigrants. They should be treated better by their employers, and the fact that they're here and don't have a path to citizenship allows them to be abused by their employers. And that's where the rub comes in here, right? When we watched that thing about, when we watched that clip from fucking fascist ass Huntington Beach, they weren't out there because they care about people, right? They were out there because Huntington Beach is a tourist town, and tourism comes to a grinding halt if you start fucking deporting all the employees. So that's why they were out there. Oh, we're finally outside, I guess, of the news part of this. We're going to skip at least one story here. We'll skip the Hunter Biden story, I guess. But here's Megyn Kelly being weird as fuck about J-Lo.
J-Lo's out on tour in the middle of nowhere. I don't know where no one's listening to J-Lo. Her tours have been a mess. Her songs are unpopular. Here's a man with his face in her crotch.
Hell yeah. Fuck yeah. Get him.
Audience, we see Heine with a thong, and a man looks like he's giving her oral sex.
No, it doesn't.
His face is in her crotch. Now she bends over, and then for the next several minutes, she simulates actual sex acts. Like, she's doing actual sex acts, though she's clothed, with a bunch of men wearing just pants and corsets, I guess. I don't know what they're wearing. Yeah, like doggy style, missionary, her sitting up on them and writhing and grinding. She's 55 years old, and she
looks fantastic.
Hasn't come to grips with the fact that she's not a sex symbol anymore. I'm sorry.
I excuse the shit. I'm fucking gay, and she looks fantastic.
I can say this because I'll be 55 in November. We're not sex symbols. We could look.
Megan, you look great too. Probably can't dance though.
We could rock a bikini in the right setting. That's terrific. Good for us. But asking the American public to look at you and be like, I want to have sex when I look at her. That ship has sailed. I'm sorry. It's sailed with menopause. And a postmenopausal woman.
What the fuck?
Out there bumping and grinding against 30-year-old men. It just makes us think about how old you are. Try to have.
That's not what I thought. I was like, that ass, right? I am not attracted to women, but I was all that ass.
Some class instead of embracing life as a now soft porn actress. These are the same people in different bodies.
Again, that ass. And J-Lo looks fly. J-Lo looking fly. Megyn Kelly looks good too. I don't know what the fuck. Megyn Kelly is as beautiful as she's ever been too. So I don't know what the fuck her problem is. I think her problem is that J-Lo is liberal. She's a liberal woman, and a lot of her music and just the way she's conducted herself as a woman in the industry has been about empowering women in the industry. She experienced a lot of discrimination, and no doubt when she was on her way up, she got sexually harassed a whole bunch, and she turned it around on everybody. And what do you mean in the middle of nowhere? I bet that shit was in like, it was really weird too, because all these people hate everybody that isn't in New York, LA, and Miami, and Chicago, and San Francisco, and they're like, her tour is in the middle of nowhere. Here's Sean Fucked. Apparently he was in Montreal, Canada, and somebody threw a smoke bomb or something at him, and what he wrote about it was that he was attacked or whatever, that threw 2 smoke bombs and like whatever. They raided the church. They ran inside the church. But if you watch like the video of how he responds to it, it doesn't seem like Sean Fucked here is very worried about his safety. He seems to be playing with the smoke bomb. See, the thing is, he put his stuff out about that afterward. He seemed like all things considered, he took that in stride, right? He was like, oh, there's a smoke bomb. He held it and gave it to somebody. Throw this outside. Like, all things considered, he took that in stride, but afterward, he fucking freaked out, acting like Antifa was coming to try to murder him and shit, which is not what we saw there. It's not nice to throw a smoke bomb in somebody's fucking party, but it's just like the disconnect between what he did, how he responded to it happening, and then the way he talked about it afterwards might lead a more conspiratorial minded person than myself to think that was staged. Now, I don't think that was staged, but he realized afterward that by not acting afraid, he really missed an opportunity. Also, shout out to the people of Montreal. Fuck Sean Foyt. Kick him out of your whole ass country, not just Montreal. Here's a story that's unfolding that we are probably not going to pay too much attention to, but if you don't know, Candace Owens has been insisting that Brigitte Macron, the wife of the president of France, is a man, and Brigitte's fucking sued her, which is great, because this is clearly not true. Candace knows it's not true, and she's doing it. This is one of the few cases where I think it's going to meet the threshold for defamation against a public figure because of what's happening here.
You were born a man and you will die a man. That's the point.
That's what her lawyer told her to do too, right? Her lawyer was like, you know what you should do? You should double down on this shit.
So give us a sample. I'll send my doctors to take your blood. Figure it out real quick, however you want to go about this. Hey, how about just
That's not how this is going to play out at all, Candace. You punched a little too high this time.
Pictures again of you growing up, raising your children. That would be fine. For whatever reason, to phone, by the way, like I said, we'll get to the bottom of it, right? That is what Discovery is for. We're going to ask a lot of questions. You're probably hoping, this will go away.
Man, her lawyer, there's no way that her lawyer advised her to do this.
We'll say we went after her. She'll probably file for this to get dismissed. I'd like to make it to Discovery. I think that we owe that to the world. Anyways, you guys, we are revolting against this. We're revolting against the perverts that run the world. And I want to be very clear here. I count you among them. I think you're sick. I think you're disgusting. And I am fully prepared to take on this battle on behalf of the entire world. Okay? That's what I'm going to say. On behalf of the entire world, I will see you in court.
This is like exhibit 536 in whatever this is going to be. Like, again, defamation against a public figure. I think they would have to file in the United States. I'm not sure. I wish we had a defamation lawyer available. But I think that they have to file in the United States because that's where this happened. And because that's where there would be jurisdiction over this. But this might be one of the few cases where this meets the threshold, because after this happened, she doubled down on the false claim and said, I don't care. And that we're going to find out during Discovery. Now, what I would do, and I don't know how this is going to work, I wouldn't accept a settlement, right? I would demand to go to trial. I wouldn't let her settle with me for nothing. Because it's not like Brigitte Macron needs the fucking money. What the goal here should be is to utterly destroy Candace Owens. And that should be the goal here, is to make this so financially difficult on her to fight that she cannot sustain it financially, runs out of money, and cannot continue to do what she's doing. That is the only thing of value that could happen here. Getting her to pay them $5 or $6 million ain't shit. And I don't think that's what they're trying to do, because I don't think they need no $5 or $6 million. So people in chat are talking about if she's an S Corp, an LLC. I don't think that insulates her personally from defamation and libel in this way. Because I don't know, though. I'm not an attorney. I don't think that just hiding behind a corporation insulates you from stuff like this, like personally, because her brand as a person is so fucking intricately linked or whatever to the S Corp or LLC that she has, that it's almost unclear where she ends and the company begins. Be really interesting. There's probably attorneys out there who know more about this than I do, but by virtue of being attorneys, maybe even attorneys who have dealt with this kind of lawsuit, who have put out information about this, and it might be interesting to take a look at that. Maybe we can find something for Red Light. We got a couple more things here. Charlie Kirk's producer seems nice. Check this out.
Yeah, but this is interesting, because I want to contrast this in our final minute here with and we don't have to play the clip, but Matt Walsh went after Maria Elvira Salazar, who's a Republican out of Miami. She's Cuban. I believe she's born in America, right? Am I wrong?
In Miami, yeah.
Born in Miami, still has a very thick Hispanic accent, Latin accent, but she's a Republican, former TV anchor. And Matt Walsh is coming under some fire for saying, deport her. She's not an American. So he's saying she's not American. But when I see that clip, it feels completely different. We have blasted Maria Elvira Salazar for her soft amnesty push, probably more than anybody else, actually. But I would say, Cubans, the ones that have come to America and largely are in Florida, they embody an American ethos to me. Like, when I look at it, they're grateful.
Our Secretary of State is Cuban.
Yeah, exactly. Marco,
one of the good ones.
10 out of 10. They're grateful. They love markets. They love the Constitution, the rule of law. They're anti-tyrant. They have so much about them that I love and that I naturally feel kinship with. And so again, it's sort of like, what is an American? It's not necessarily. I even wrote in my little thing, I didn't read that part, but it's most likely you're white. I mean, just by stats, by history, yeah, white probably helps be an American. But if you're not white, don't be antagonistic to those
Don't be uppity. Don't be uppity. If you're not, don't be uppity.
Who are, and don't be bitter about it. Be grateful to live in the country. I think those things matter still, right? And I guess, you know, if you go down certain rabbit holes online, that wouldn't fly. For me, it does, especially when I look at the Cuban community in Miami. But I would say, like, in general, we have to. I would love to.
I don't think a lot of Cubans hang out with this guy in Miami.
Immigration moratorium. We got to deal with how many we've had come in this country who are not American, and yet they're living here. They're walking around us, and they don't represent kinship or community or brotherhood from a nation standpoint.
All right. Well, if you're here and you're not white, don't be uppity. We got more. Speaking of, and Bumblejack was on that. This last clip is of Bumblejack. You remember that kiss cam thing that we didn't cover at all? Where dude fucking, I guess they were both cheating on their partner with each other. You know what I'm talking about, that kiss cam thing at that fucking sporting event. Well, here's Bumblejack to tell you that was, this is all just anti-white propaganda.
Well, and you look at some of the candidates now that are being embraced, whether it be Zohran Mamdani in New York City, or whether it be this guy, Omar Fattah, who just won the endorsement of the Democrats in the Minneapolis mayor's race, which essentially means, you know, he's well on his way to becoming the next mayor. What do they offer? They offer full-on socialism. They offer full-on free stuff. They offer, hey, we are going to go to all the white people, take away their stuff, and the rich CEOs, and go and take it for. And by the way, can I just say, guys, take the B-roll off for a second. Can I just say something for a second here? Because this is important. All those CEO memes that were going around this weekend, this guy, he had an affair, Coldplay, et cetera, keep in mind that once again, all those CEO memes that were running around this weekend were going viral because leftists hate CEOs. And specifically, they hate straight white CEOs. And once again, right, people are going to say, "Oh, Posobiec's condoning the behavior." No, I'm not. But I'm explaining the.
I don't care if you cheat on your wife. Fucking whatever. Don't hurt anybody as long as everybody's consenting. It's between you and your wife. Actually, I don't. It's not nice to cheat on people, but I don't care that much.
That lead to our society being in this situation where it is. If they were not straight, if that was not a white couple, guess what? I guarantee you would have not seen the response that you did this weekend. And call that a thought crime, call it whatever you want. I'm just saying what it is. That's part of the same reason that you're seeing people support Luigi Maggioni, Omar Fattah, and Zohran Mamdani. Kenny Cody, am I?
Wait, okay, so they're supporting Luigi. Luigi killed somebody. Listen, I don't even want to get into that. Luigi killed somebody. He killed the CEO of a health company that he had his reasons. I wouldn't have done that. I'm not encouraging you to go fucking kill anybody. But that's different than running for mayor. We can all agree that taking the law into your own hands and assassinating the head of a healthcare company is not the same thing as running for mayor. I just feel like I don't know. I thought we could maybe all agree on that. But I guess it's the same thing, actually, as running for mayor with some ideas that you think and then winning. It's the same thing, actually. It's the same thing as assassinating a CEO. Running for mayor, assassinating somebody, same fucking thing. Same fucking thing. So before we go, I know this has been a very long one. We're pushing 3 hours on the podcast this week. I don't even know how I'm going to fucking step on the MP3 to get it down to the size that it'll fucking fit on the podcast. But what the fuck ever. I've had to pee for the last 30 minutes, but I do have something important to say. I'd like to dedicate this episode to Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan can go fuck himself. Hulk Hogan is one of the biggest pieces of shit that ever hit media in the United States. Hulk Hogan was despised by people he worked with, both in the ring and behind the scenes alike. Hulk Hogan teamed up with Peter Thiel to destroy Gawker Media because Valleywag published a true story about Peter Thiel, and then Gawker published a video of Hulk Hogan that they acquired that was a real video of Hulk Hogan. I loved Valleywag when I was first coming up in Silicon Valley, when I was first starting to work in tech and getting to kind of know the lay of the land. Valleywag was one of the only publications that was covering Silicon Valley from within Silicon Valley and wasn't giving every rich asshole a hand job and letting them come all over the pages of their fucking publication. And they destroyed Gawker Media for doing that. Hulk Hogan teamed up with Peter Thiel to do that. And I think it's the worst thing he did. Other people who worked with him may have disagreed with me, and there may be things I don't know about that he did while he was working as a professional wrestler. Fuck Hulk Hogan. And I don't know. Rumor has it that he joined Scientology before he died. Maybe this is a rare W for the Scientologists. Maybe they fucking killed him by telling him not to take his fucking heart medication. Anyway, thanks everybody for listening to the podcast version of this show. This went a very long time. This went a very long show. If you're listening on the podcast and you listen to all of this, good for you. We're going to go ahead and make the members show free this week because this went so long. So go ahead and head over to eplex.store or to patreon.com/echoplex, and you'll be able to download the audio and video of this entire show, including Red Light, and you'll be able to download that for free. While you're there, consider becoming a member at $5 or higher so that every time we do an episode of this show or of Down Ballot, or when we record Used to Be a Spy, you'll get the unedited audio from that, including Red Light. Or for Used to Be a Spy, you'll just get the unedited, including a little bit of banter before the show and banter after the show. I really have to pee, and I need a drink, and I need to change the color of the lights in here. If you are watching live, as you have probably been sitting through this for a while, sit through this great song by Periscope called Boomers, and I'll be right back with Red Light.